J'ai retrouvé le sourire quand j'ai vu le bout du tunnel où nous mènera ce jeu du mal et de la pnelle. Du mal et de la pnelle. On était tellement complices, on a brisé nos complexes. Pour te faire comprendre, t'avais juste à lever le cil. T'avais juste à lever le cil. J'étais prêt à graver ton image en entraînant sur le côté. Afin de te voir même dans un sommeil éternel. Même dans un sommeil éternel. J'étais censé t'aimer, mais j'ai vu la mer. J'ai cligné des yeux, tu n'as vu la mer. Est-ce que je t'aime? Je sais pas si je t'aime. Est-ce que tu m'aimes? Je sais pas si je t'aime. J'étais censé t'aimer, mais j'ai vu la mer. J'ai cligné des yeux, tu n'as vu la mer. Est-ce que je t'aime? Je sais pas si je t'aime. Est-ce que tu m'aimes? Je sais pas si je t'aime. J'étais censé t'aimer, mais j'ai vu la mer. J'ai cligné des yeux, tu n'as vu la je n'ai jamais autant souffert. Quand je t'ai mis la bague au doigt, je me suis passé les bracelets. Pendant ce temps, le temps passe, je suis vite par l'hiver. Et je suis vite par l'hiver. J'étais prêt à graver ton image en entraînant sur mon poker. Afin de te voir même dans un sommeil éternel. Même dans un sommeil éternel. J'étais censé t'aimer, mais j'ai vu la mer. J'ai cligné des yeux, tu n'as vu la mer. Est-ce que je t'aime? Je sais pas si je t'aime. Est-ce que tu m'aimes? Je sais pas si je t'aime. J'étais censé t'aimer, mais j'ai vu la mer. J'ai cligné des yeux, tu n'as vu la mer. Est-ce que je t'aime? Je sais pas si je t'aime. Est-ce que tu m'aimes? Je sais pas si je t'aime. J'étais censé t'aimer, mais j'ai vu la mer. J'ai cligné des yeux, tu n'as vu la mer. Est-ce que je t'aime? Je sais pas si je t'aime. Est-ce que tu m'aimes? Je sais pas si je t'aime. J'étais censé t'aimer, mais j'ai vu la mer. J'ai cligné des yeux, tu n'as vu la mer. Est-ce que je t'aime? Je sais pas si je t'aime. Est-ce que tu m'aimes? Je sais pas si je t'aime. J'étais censé t'aimer, mais j'ai vu la mer. J'ai cligné des yeux, tu n'as vu la mer. Est-ce que je t'aime? Je sais pas si je t'aime. Est-ce que tu m'aimes? Je sais pas si je t'aime. J'étais censé t'aimer, mais j'ai vu la mer. J'ai cligné des yeux, tu n'as vu la mer. Est-ce que je t'aime? Je sais pas si je t'aime. Est-ce que tu m'aimes? Je sais pas si je t'aime. J'étais censé t'aimer, mais j'ai vu la mer. J'ai cligné des yeux, tu n'as vu la mer. Est-ce que je t'aime? Je sais pas si je t'aime. Est-ce que tu m'aimes? Je sais pas si je t'aime. J'étais censé t'aimer, mais j'ai vu la mer. J'ai cligné des yeux, tu n'as vu la mer. Est-ce que je t'aime? Je sais pas si je t'aime. Est-ce que tu m'aimes? Je sais pas si je t'aime. J'étais cens
Hello! Good morning! It's so nice to see you all! I feel so loved. And we didn't even get through the intro. You are all so kind. My name is Rand Smith Ellis. It's Sunday, May 24th, 2026. It's about 10:17 a.m. Eastern Time here in Boston. It's so good to see you. That would make it about 3:17 p.m. in South Africa, 4:17 p.m. in Tel Aviv, Israel, and 4:47 p.m. in Tehran, Iran. Oh, Francisco, hola, amigo. Es mi cumpleaños ahora. Es un bien día porque yo tengo la oportunidad para hacer todo mis amigas y amigos que son toallas está aquí conmigo en este día muy especial para mí. Hola, mi amigo. My dear friend, oh, it's so good to see you all. If you don't know, when Francisco comes in, we give a special personal Spanish message to my dear friend Francisco Castillo. Adios bendiga, mi amigo. Hay muchas cosas que está ocurriendo a este día. Primero, tenemos que hablar con La Paz sobre los Estados Unidos y Irán. También tenemos que hablar sobre Rusia. No sé cómo se dice Rusia en español. Y Ucrania. No sé cómo se dice Ucrania en español. Porque hay muchas bombas. Más bombas que yo puedo explicar en español o inglés. Por supuesto, al noche pasado. So that was my Spanish update from my friend Francisco Castillo. I basically explained that we need to talk about the peace between Israel and the U.S., the U.S. and Iran. And exactly what that means. Your guess is as good as mine. I may have some things to say. I may be able to explain a little bit about what I think is going on. And then I can tell you a little bit about the impact that I think Israel's continued bombardment of South Lebanon and Hezbollah's response attacks in North Israel, which have been occurring up to 45 minutes ago before I began today's stream, will play into that. Then we need to talk about what happened in Ukraine last night, where Russia just lost its mind. I'm not really sure why. There wasn't really a good reason for it. Russia's pretextual justification was that Ukraine hit a school. I don't even think there were people in the school. They claim there were people in the dorm. No one really knows if that's even verified. All I know is Russia lost their mind overnight. And as a war analyst, I don't say that lightly. I've never seen so many missiles get fired so rapidly. Russia has this missile. It's an intercontinental ballistic missile that is supposed to carry nuclear warheads. They fired it before, like with blanks, which are not really blanks. They're concrete, like on the warhead instead of a nuclear missile. They fired this thing last night. I don't even know what to say. I'll show you the footage in a second. I tried to put this in context regarding Khorram Shahar. I don't even think this thing is more destructive than a Khorram Shahar, which I didn't even think was possible. And it travels at Mach 8, and it just eviscerated the air defenses. The air defenses fired maybe 6 seconds after this thing was deploying. It's like 24 subset, what are called multiple re-entry vehicle warheads onto Kiev. It was pretty scary. Yeah, 16 or so at least, plus some decoys. First 48, it's so good to see you. Hi, Silent Dogs. Hello, Melissa. Hello to all of my friends. Oh, gracias, Francisco. Gracias, mi amigo. Hello, Kim. Thank you so much for the birthday wishes. Yes, interspersed, you're getting a breakfast update. Interspersed with our breakfast update, it is Tao's birthday, so we'll keep it short today. We'll go for about an hour or two. Tao, the only reason I was able to do this, or I wanted to spend the day with Tao Girlfriend, but Tao Girlfriend's having a wonderful dinner with her family. So as that's happening, Tao is going to give you an update. The situation, as I mentioned, in Ukraine was quite severe. I will show you the footage. You're not going to believe some of what you're going to see, but it's rough. The city of Ukraine is burning this morning. I'll show you the update. The president of Ukraine this morning, when he delivered his message on social media, I've never seen him look like that. And then he was out doing surveys of the impacts of the missiles, and he looked like he was going to retaliate. He was very upset. Oh, Squirrel, God bless you. You are so kind. It's so good to see you. God bless you, Squirrel. God bless you, my dear friend. You are wonderful, and I am so glad to see you today. Oh, thank you so much. You all are so kind. It's so good to see you all. We've had a party. We've had party hats. We've had a lot of compassion and kindness. You all are wonderful. I'm so grateful to be with you. Hi, Derek. It's so good to see you. When I don't stream, I miss you all. But I also don't stream gratuitously. If I feel compelled, or if I feel there's something to say, it's like a feeling. And then I go live. If I don't feel that, I don't go live. So I know a lot of you probably have missed me, but it was an intense week with my graduation and then my birthday, so thank you for your patience, but I did miss you all terribly, and there's no one I'd rather spend some time with today. It's a bit of a weird juxtaposition, though, with the reports of the peace deal. You can see it up on your screen. I'll have it read out for you. And then the context of this peace deal, what exactly is happening. I'm telling you, this is a more serious discussion of a peace deal than almost anything we've seen before. I'll show you Ali Hashem's short analysis of it in a second. His confirmation through the sources in Iran of the legitimacy of this peace deal, and then what it means for Israel. So let's take a listen to what this set it all off last night. This is where it all started. Mr. President, out of nowhere, posts on Truth Social. There was a little chatter before. No one believed the chatter, because it was from Al Arabia and Pakistani sources and Axios. But here's what Mr. President
Conversation.
posted.
Colon. I am in the Oval Office at the White House, where we just had a very good call with President Mohammed bin Salman Al Saud of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan of the United Arab Emirates, Emir Tamim bin Hamad bin Khalifa Al Thani, Prime Minister Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman bin Jassim bin Jaber Al Thani, and Minister Ali Al Thawadi of Qatar, Field Marshal Syed Azam Munir Ahmad Shah of Pakistan, President Recep Tayyip Erdogan of Turkey, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi of Egypt, King Abdullah II of Jordan, and King Hamad bin Isa al-Khalifa of Bahrain, concerning the Islamic Republic of Iran, and all things related to a memorandum of understanding pertaining to peace. An agreement has been largely negotiated, subject to finalization between the United States of America, the Islamic Republic of Iran, and the various other countries, as listed. Separately, I had a call with Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu of Israel, which, likewise, went very well. Final aspects and details of the deal are currently being discussed, and will be announced shortly. In addition to many other elements of the agreement, the Strait of Hormuz will be opened. Thank you for your attention to this matter. President Donald J. Trump.
So I'm sure many of you saw that, and then immediately were skeptical. Now, let's take a listen to Ali Hashem's... Well, first, let me show you in real time how this played out. So I was skeptical. As you can imagine, your venerated Towel reporter was skeptical. Okay? And my questions that immediately came to mind, you could see them, I was posting in real time. I said, 1, does this mean an end to the fighting between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon, a key condition of the Iranian side? 2, does this mean no regime change in Iran? I think that's a given at this point. 3, does this mean Iran keeps their ballistic missile programs? That seems to be a given. And 4, what about the nuclear file? So that was my initial impressions. Okay, so then Ali Hashem gets the initial report. I'm going to play you 2 clips from Ali Hashem, his initial report about it, and then his follow-up from last night. I clipped these. They're just short segments from Ali's longer discussion. They're about a minute each. Let's take a listen.
In Washington, D.C. Well, Ali Hashem is still with us in the studio. And this is a developing story, Ali. So, what is developed?
Well, I was in touch with one of my sources. And a source in Tehran, an official source in Tehran, told me that, yes, there is a deal. And according to my sources, the draft proposal that's supposed to be finalized include end of war on all fronts, including Lebanon, freeing several billion dollars of Iran's blocked funds, lifting the U.S. naval blockade and opening the Strait of Hormuz, withdrawal of American forces from the immediate vicinity of Iran. After this, the parties will have 30 days to agree on the nuclear issue. These 30 days can be extended by mutual agreement. During these 30 days, passage will be facilitated through the strait. According to my sources in Tehran, in this paper, management of the Strait of Hormuz will be an Iranian-Omani issue and is being negotiated with Muscat. So
right.
These are.
Okay, so that was his first report. That was right as it happened. This was the follow-up. This one's about 3 minutes. And I think this is a very important piece of context, so I'm going to let Ali explain his thoughts.
Right, well, let's get it back to Ali Hashem, who's right here in the studio. How similar is this to that 40-point proposal that Iran responded to and then Donald Trump said was stupid?
Well, in fact, there are several points here, but the main issue is that pushing the nuclear negotiations to the second phase is something the Iranians wanted to happen. And it seems, at least with the draft that we are seeing, it seems that this is happening. On the other side, freeing a part of Iranian frozen assets also happening. Opening the Strait of Hormuz by the Iranians is a condition by President Trump that is also being implemented if this is going to be adopted by both countries. Also, the United States lifting the naval blockade. So we have issues here and there, but at the end, the most important thing for both sides is ending the war. How to get out, how to just climb down the ladder.
And save face, probably, as well. This is going to be one of the key things.
Absolutely. But at least with the points that we are saying, the Iranians might be happy with coming out with in such a posture. Now, what's going to happen next after 30 days? What are the Iranians going to give also and concede on the nuclear side? Are they going to accept removing the highly enriched uranium. What's going to happen with the other points? Because we know this war did not start on the Strait of Hormuz, right? It's ending with the Strait of Hormuz. This is how the Iranians changed the framework or changed the game, the rules of the game. So now the next step is going back to Pakistan or any other place, talking the nuclear issue, what's going to happen with the ballistic missiles program that was also one of the objectives of President Donald Trump. What's going to happen with Iran's regional influence, its relation with Hezbollah, the Iraqi factions, the Yemenis. So these are all issues that are hanging, that will be left hanging.
Iran said during this conflict things are not going to go back to the way they were before the war.
100%. 100%. And so I'm showing you Ali's perspective because that's the closest you're going to get, other than Professor Morandi, to the Iranian perspective. Ali was he's in Doha for that interview, but he was in Tehran. I'd say of every English-speaking journalist, Ali Hashim is the foremost expert on Iran. He lived there for a long time. He's actually from Nakura. It's a village in the south of Lebanon, but professionally, he spent a lot of time in Tehran and Doha. But Doha is very close to Tehran. You just have to fly across the Persian Gulf. But my point is that is the expert. That is the man with connections in the IRGC. And you might say, well, how can he talk to them? Well, because Qatar is kind of like a mediator. They're kind of like Pakistan. They don't really, like, did you notice Qatar only got attacked once? After Israel attacked the, the Pars oil field in the south of Iran, immediately, because Qatar's land was used or something, their airspace, immediately Iran attacked the Lahan refinery or something in Qatar. It happened like once. And it never happened again in the war. It's because Qatar has a lot of pull with both sides. Qatar's kind of like Qatar's the type of country that used to facilitate the negotiations between Hamas and Israel until Israel bombed the Hamas leaders in Qatar without Qatar's permission during the negotiations. Israel has a bad habit of doing that, by the way. It was Israel that took out Ayatollah Khamenei, Ali Khamenei, the martyred former leader of supreme leader of Iran. It was not the U.S. The U.S. gave the green light, obviously. But, yeah, it was definitely Israel. Israel has a bad habit of striking people. They try to delegitimize their opponents in negotiations, specifically the Benjamin Netanyahu government, which, by the way, we'll talk about. It's going to fall. That government will not survive this. There's no chance. Zero chance, Bibi. First of all, the Knesset already voted to dissolve it. Wait, alerts, 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 alerts. I repeat. Oh, no, it's that sound. It's that sound. We don't like that sound. It brings back terrible memories. Oh, no, Silent Dogs is going to be posting the alert emojis. So much for this, like, cessation of hostilities, okay? Because I'm telling you, I monitor this in real time. Israel and Hezbollah are fighting intensely on the northern border of Israel and the southern border of Lebanon. Israel ordered a mandatory evacuation like 45 minutes ago for like 11 villages and said they were just going to go on a massive bombing campaign, a tactical escalatory, initiation of an attack, specifically to undermine the progress towards a ceasefire and deal between Israel, Iran, and the U.S., which Bibi hates because it means his political future is over, which means he has to go to jail domestically. So what you're hearing is the alerts for the drone incursion into Kiryat Shimona that just happened about 5 seconds ago. Hello, Real Jack Matt. It's so good to see you, my dear friend. We have the strangest, it was called by my dear brother Muhammad, a Schrodinger's peace deal. We have the strangest series of developments I've ever seen. I do think that Benjamin Netanyahu is the wild card here, but I think he's isolated. Oh, God bless you, Mishigama. Thank you so much, my dear friend. I think that Benjamin Netanyahu, it's not really the people of Israel. I don't even think he has a majority of the electorate or a parliamentary majority. He's kind of at the end of his political career. He's cornered, and people who are cornered do dumb things. He doesn't really have a lot of decision-making authority. He's been sidelined for most of these talks. And I don't think Israel can take on Iran alone. I don't think they will take on Iran alone. Oh, thank you so much. Oh, CEO, you're so kind. God bless the people of Turkey. I have some news updates actually about Turkey today, and thank you so much for your well wishes from Ankara. God bless you, my dear friend. But yes, if this deal is real, which I think I have no reason to doubt its legitimacy. I don't think it's agreed to, but based on every source, I'm talking about all the different sides cutting through the noise of the Axios and NYT propaganda and the tweets from or the posts from on social media from Mr. President. I think this is real. And I think that it's tactically disadvantageous to Benjamin Netanyahu, who is the one variable in whether or not this deal gets done. If he throws this deal, if anyone can sabotage this deal, which is not good for anyone, it would be him. He's trying to. Hezbollah can't just let Israel routinely bomb civilians in southern Lebanon. The Lebanese army is not going to do anything. So if Israel does massive bombing raids and they killed at least 8 people, maybe 4 to 8 people this morning in just one raid, and the raids have just started, they're bombing raids. It creates this untenable situation because for Iran, one of their red lines is the cessation of hostilities between Israel and Hezbollah. That's literally a core component of the negotiations. It's as big of a deal, if not a bigger deal, than the Strait of Hormuz. Iran is very loyal to Lebanon because Lebanon was very loyal to Iran. It's like 79 through 82. And then more recently in 2025. And then also Lebanon really took the brunt of Israel lashing out over the world's reaction to Gaza. It was really Lebanon that took the most punishment in 2023 from the outside of Gaza and the West Bank. So, frankly, I don't really see the Lebanon file as going anywhere. I see it as the predominant issue in this war. And it's why I keep the alerts on 24 hours a day. It's because if there's something going on in that area of conflict, then this negotiation is not ready to be finalized. And you, I think, might rationally say, well, who's going to get Benjamin Netanyahu to stop? I don't know, the people of Israel. The Knesset dissolved itself last week, so there's 90 days for them to call elections. They were already going to have elections in the fall of 2026. Now they're going to have them a little early. The Change Coalition probably has the Arab parties on board, which gives them 15 to 17 more seats. Talking about Naftali Bennett and the other guy. They have enough seats to take the majority. It's just a matter of time. And Benjamin Netanyahu is only avoiding going to prison on cases 8001, 8002, and 8004 domestically in Jerusalem District Court because he's the prime minister. That's literally what the ruling from the Israeli Supreme Court said over the past few years. So you can see now it's not so much about the ideological framing or the ideological conflicts between these parties or even like the military conflicts. It's purely Benjamin Netanyahu playing this very complex game of duck and cover to avoid accountability for his self-serving political machinations that led to this war, and in turn, somewhat ironically, I suppose deservedly on the world scene, cemented Iran as the fourth axis of a new multipolar world order, and furthermore, fundamentally realigned the geopolitical hierarchy within the Middle East, and also blew up the Abrams Accord, rhetorically, literally destroyed the Abrams Accord, which was the shift after MBS took over Saudi Arabia in 2019 following a 2-year civil war between him and MBZ, which is not the same MBZ who rules UAE, it's a different MBZ. But when there was this battle, when King Salman was changing the crown prince designate in Saudi Arabia between 2017 and 2019, after 2019 when MBS came out as the predominant, the crown prince designate in Saudi Arabia, the Abrams Accord were signed. What this basically represented was for the first time a bunch of Middle Eastern countries were like willing to recognize Israel, and the geopolitical orientation of the Middle East began to change, where like a bunch of Arab countries that weren't Shia majority, were willing to work, at least in their leadership, were willing to work with Israel in a way that was beneficial to the interest of the United States and Israel. However, what happened during this war was the one thing that was making that whole sort of framework work was Israel's consistent statements that if it came down to it and a war with Iran occurred, they'd be able to destroy them. Well, the Gulf countries have now realized that was a complete fabrication. The U.S. security blanket and the Israeli security blanket over the region has collapsed. The Gulf countries are realigning themselves towards a more sort of accommodating relationship with Iran, which in turn results in a situation that is worse for Israel in particular, and the U.S., frankly, than before the war began. So we're settling for terms that will put us and the world, frankly, well, it depends who you ask, but at least from a Western perspective, in a worse position than we were when the war began. What is another word for that? A loss. It's not just a loss, it's just a devastating blow to American military prestige. People joke a lot about the buffoonery that is modern politics, but there are real consequences in the realpolitik arena, which is the arena of preserving, expanding, and demonstrating power by states. There are real consequences to bad policy decisions. Do you know what those consequences are? Reduced prestige, reduced ability to ward off future attacks by belligerent states, reduced ability to use diplomacy to avoid military escalation and unnecessary death. There are real-world consequences to bad policies, bad wars, bad decisions, and failed excursions, and we're seeing them made manifest. Now, from the Iranians' perspective, they're thrilled. I would imagine they are absolutely thrilled. They got everything they wanted. Regime change in Israel, cementing the hardline IRGC hierarchy under Moattab Khomeini, who's keeping up the legacy even if Ali Khamenei is now dead. He was already basically dead. His hand didn't really work. He was like 86. But someone lived in the Khomeini bloodline. No regime change occurred. If anything, the hardliners have more power now than they did before. Iran's ballistic missile threat is now a bigger deterrent than even a nuclear missile program would be. Pakistan probably can just give them the nuke at this point to avoid the region descending into future conflict. Iran has territorial control over the Strait of Hormuz. They're going to get at least $25 billion. They're going to get sanctions relief and be able to trade their oil. And they've become recognized as the fourth sort of center of geopolitical power in the world, and they're feared. So this was just ridiculous. I've said this from the beginning, frankly, but now there's real consequences to this. It will have an impact on lots of things. It will have an impact on Southeast Asia. It will have an impact on the Donbass, in Ukraine, which we will talk about. It'll have an impact on the EU. It will have an impact on all sorts of things. Maybe the economy will stay stable, I suppose, although I don't trust that that's not a giant bubble as well that's about to burst based on the way in which frickin' credit default swaps were basically brought back to create another subprime mortgage crisis, but we don't have time to talk about that right now, and not to mention the student loan bubble. We're on the precipice of economic disaster. That's the reality. We can keep up this sort of happy talk all we want, but the reality is thus. We might have starved off a war here, but if you want my analysis, the way that this cycle works is you have like a boom-bust cycle with economies. They're artificial bubbles. People create these fake like bubbles where the economy really soars, but then they control the ability for the bubble to what's called pop. I'm speaking very broadly by analogy. They pop the bubble, quote, this is rhetorical, BLO blank blank runs in the street. They make a lot of money because they controlled the economy collapsing. They bet against the economy. This is why deposit banks and investment banks are not supposed to operate under the same roof. They could bet against their own deposit holders. But my point is there's this cycle in history. You can look at the charts, and it always plays out the same way. Economic bubble gets popped. The economic bubble pops. There's a depression. The depression leads to like a very serious like catastrophe. Only like war can bring about a resolution of the economic crisis. The country goes to war. Domestic economic production is rejuvenated through a wartime economy, and then you get another boom bust cycle. That's what happened from like 45 through like 72. It kind of got a little funky from like 72 onwards, but it's the traditional cycle. It holds no matter what, and fiat currencies won't absolve or obviate that cycle in history. It's just natural. Another alert. It's going to ring again. A lot of drones today. I'm telling you, Israel went on a massive bombing raid, and you should expect Hezbollah to be retaliating routinely throughout the day. And the reality is, I don't think Hezbollah acts without Iran's permission. So if Hezbollah is firing drones into Israel, they're doing it with Iran's permission. Hezbollah is the Quds Force of the IRGC. All right, we'll continue with our updates now. So I showed you the update on the peace deal. All right, now I'll take you forward. Yeah, I don't see a debt payment failure happening because you can always technically find ways to print more money or control the rate of money or control like how much oil you export or how much of the strategic reserves. I think there's 1.2 billion in the strategic reserves across the entire West. I think they've released about 400 million barrels of it so far. It's a question of treasury bond yields, and then it's a question of the value of the dollar, and then it's a question of like the faith of the market, and then it's a question of short sellers, and then it's a question of like who's long and who's short and who's in the room making the decision. It's all about economics and a little bit of like domestic military, like industrial complex sort of stuff. It's very rarely about ideology. It's all money. All right, so this was Iran's, by the way, just to give you the historical framework, this is Iran's response to the peace deal. I believe this is the spokesman for the Ministry of the Foreign Affairs, Ismail Bakil. In the Roman mind, Rome was the undisputed center of the world, yet the Iranians shattered that illusion when Marcus Julius Philippus, Philip the Arab, marched east against Persia. The campaign did not result in Roman victory. It ended in a peace established on Sasanian terms. The emperor had to come to terms. So, just so you understand, the Iranians view this as complete and utter capitulation and basically akin to like the last vestiges of a modern Rome falling. They're not wrong, but I think I could save it. Not just me. We can't be creating this like cult of personality around Towel. We have to engender cogent public discourse to save America. Hello, it's Triplet Bob. How you doing, Triplet Bob? We have some updates from the very intense night in Kiev. So I started monitoring last night at about 8:36 p.m. Eastern time, which was very early in the morning. It was the overnight hours in Kiev. And Russia started launching their missiles right at about 8:35, all right? So as President Trump's announcing this peace deal, and first of all, there is no peace deal. There is this proposed peace deal. As they're literally meeting in the West Wing, now there's no weapons shown in this, and obviously I can play it, but I just want to show you what happened. As Mr. President is announcing this, a number of things start happening. First, people just start shooting. This man just starts shooting outside the White House. He walks up to the White House, he takes out a weapon, and just not the actual building. We're talking about the security checkpoint at the Eisenhower old executive office building, okay? It's like a block from the White House. He stands out there and just walks up with a bag, takes out a weapon, and starts shooting. The Secret Service immediately starts shooting at him. This is during Mr. President Trump's meeting with his highest officials about the peace deal, and the Secret Service take him out. Now, as that's occurring, Russia then starts firing the missiles we talked about earlier. I would call this a far more intense version of a Khorram Sharhar. It's called an MRV, Multiple Reentry Vehicle Intercontinental Ballistic Missile. It's called an Oreshnik. Now, I want to show you the far view, and then I'll show you the views as they started coming in. Some of these videos will be loud. All right, so that was the first views we started getting of those Russian missiles. Now, let me just tell you, they got very intense. Take a look at this missile. I've never seen anything like this. I thought I had seen something with the Khorram Shahars. What you're about to look at is a Russian multiple reentry vehicle warhead. Actually, let me get your chat 1 second. It's a Russian multiple reentry vehicle warhead that is capable of carrying nuclear weapons. It was not carrying nuclear weapons last night, thank God. It's a terror weapon, though. The only reason to fire this weapon with no nuclear warheads would be to cause terror among the civilian population. Let's take a look.
Збили, диви, як падало.
Блять, на нас!
Ёб твою мать! Блять!
Та не кричи. Та
Да
тихо.
на блять! Ёб
Це
твою
пулі.
мать!
Це пулі або хто. Воно де теж, диви.
Вы что, ёб твою мать!
Знаєте, що це?
Что це?
Це орешник.
Орешник.
Орешник їбанув. Точно, розлетів.
Це орешник.
Орешник, оце ж упало.
Це орешник.
Збили.
6,6.
Орешника збили. Все нормально. Тихо. Все
Його
нормально.
не
Орешник не збивається, він
Це
падає.
він упав, оце що це не. А що ж це розлетілося на часі?
Оце?
Да.
Артем, на яку їбалу тут, блядь.
Watch that one more.
Блять, на нас!
Ёб твою мать! Блять!
Та не кричи.
Та тихо.
Блять! Ёб
Це
твою
пулі.
мать!
Це пулі або хто. Воно де теж, диви.
Вы что, ёб твою мать!
Знаєте, що це?
Что це?
Це орешник.
Now, please tell me the utility of firing that at civilians. And you might say, no, they didn't do that. No, oh yeah, I have the damage impact assessment. It's a 2-stage IRBM, not an ICBM. So it's an intermediate range ballistic missile, and it is 2 stages. Thank you very much. I imagine an ICBM is closer to 3 stages. I'm not, by the way, disclaimer, I'm learning. I've done my best. I'm not a ballistic missile expert. I'm a geopolitical expert, I suppose. I am a trained political scientist. I have a JD, etc. I'm not a lawyer, though. But I am not, by any means, a ballistic missile expert. The more you can teach me, the better. But please, what is the utility of fire? I want to show you the impact of that missile you just saw falling. This is when morning rose in Ukraine today. What is the utility of firing that missile at civilians like this? Can someone explain it to me? Hold on, that's a very high quality video. Give me 1 second. Sorry about that. Oh, hold on. Let me have the video play. But I just want to say thank you to Brown Irish Eyes for that wonderful sunshine. I needed some sunshine. It is Tao birthday after all. And there's a lot of intense things in the world. God bless you. Brown Irish Eyes, what a wonderful username. What you are looking at, what is the utility of firing that missile at civilians and doing this level of damage? What is now there was no warheads on those missiles, or that's why you saw they looked like Tetris pieces falling. If those had nuclear warheads, first of all, there would have been apocalyptic levels of destruction. There would have been radiation everywhere. They didn't have nuclear warheads on them. They're capable of being tipped with a few kilograms of nuclear material each. I don't know how much. I'm not an expert in that either. What this is the impact from just those things hitting these like civilian areas with like concrete. They're still very fast. They're like 150 kilograms each. They're traveling very fast. You saw them. They fall like Tetris pieces onto the earth. This is the damage that bomb caused. You're looking at the ground level impact of that specific missile. They only launched one last night. This is the impact site. What is the utility of doing this other than to terrorize? Yeah, Starchild says at Mach 5 you don't need a warhead. That's true. 1 person killed, 8 injured from this. I try to analyze things from a military utility perspective. I'm always looking at what are the sides saying, what weapons are they deploying, how are they deploying them, and where are they deploying them. What is the utility of this other than just terror? Not to mention how much it costs to fire. Hello, oh sweet nothing. God bless you. It's so good to see you. I just don't see the utility of it from a military perspective. It seems to be more a weapon of mass destruction, which I'm a little bit concerned because it's like a Khorram Shahar but worse. You can't intercept it. I don't doubt that at all, First 48. That's a bit scary. You're looking at the impact damage from a very rare weapon that Russia has. It's kind of like a Khorram Shahar that we've talked about, but way more intense. Yeah, frankly, I would be concerned about taking on countries with multi-stage, multi-warhead ballistic missiles. And what I don't... We're back. We're back. It just bothers me. We're going to have a little buffer. Thank you. There might be a little turbulence from time to time. I have satellite internet now, so it's good, but, you know, it's like 97, 98% uptime. You just got to deal with like 6 seconds of buffering. If you ever get any buffering, just refresh the feed. I do agree that Mr. Putin is trying to make a point, but I'm not sure if firing multi-stage warheads that come as cluster bombs on civilian areas is the best way to do it. You don't really win hearts and minds that way. Now, I understand that Putin, based on reports out of Russia, Putin is intent on taking the Donbass, and he doesn't think Ukraine is going to just give up the Donbass, and he doesn't think Washington is going to be able to pressure Ukraine to give up the Donbass. Ukraine has these drone interceptors, and Ukraine has a lot of drone production capabilities. They have a lot of contracts with the Middle East now, the Saudis, Qatar, Bahrain, like people with more money than most countries' defense budgets. Most countries' defense appropriations, not budgets, because the U.S. probably has the largest budget. But yes, it's just, there's no reasoning with someone who will do that. Now, when Iran does something similar, but what they'll do is if you bomb their civilians, they will bomb your civilians. Russia, first of all, there's never been anything like what's happened last night in Kiev. I'm not over-exaggerating. I don't cover the war as much as Jake Bro or others, or Kaden Kirkiev or others. But I'm telling you, last night was egregious. I'm going to show you. It's going to take me an hour to do it. It was grotesque. It was disgusting. There was not military targets. Russia's foreign ministry tried to whitewash this, frankly, this morning, and I found it disgusting. If you're going to do this, own up to it. They tried to lie about it, which I think is disgusting. This was wanton indiscreet. It's unlike almost any. It was almost as bad as the height of the war between the U.S. and Israel, but one-sided. Because Ukraine mostly bombs gas facilities in Russia. If you've been following the stream, you know I document them. It doesn't really send missiles. They have missiles called Flamingos that they can send deep into Russia. But they don't really bomb anything but military and infrastructure. Their goal is to deplete Russian oil export capacity. That's their primary objective. That's Ukraine's primary modus operandi in the war. Remember, Russia started the war. Russia will claim that Ukraine's government that was in place prior to 2014 was sympathetic to them, so therefore the color revolution, as it's called, that overthrew the then existing regime in Kiev was a coup against Moscow, so therefore Moscow was entitled to invade Ukraine. That's basically Moscow's justification. The point is they still attacked first. So it's a cluster F of epic proportions. There doesn't seem to be an off-ramp there, and for some reason, last night in particular, Russia, in Putin in particular, he was kind of mad that he got mocked earlier in the week for hiding in bunkers. Well, a few things happened. One, Ukraine gave Russia permission to have a Victory Day parade, like it was a negotiated 3-day ceasefire. Ukraine kind of rubbed it in Putin's face a little bit. Putin spent a lot of time in bunkers. There was a Western media report that Putin was spending his time hiding in bunkers. 2 days ago, he went to go visit his old school teacher in this very obvious propaganda, staged footage where he hugged her, gave her some flowers, trying to show he's just like a man about town, visiting his old teacher, man of the people type thing. He was pissed. I think that he was getting this reputation as this isolated, last days in the bunker type of thing, And so he lashed out, and it was brutal. A lot of people are dead, I'm sorry to report, in Kiev this morning. And I think it's a disgrace, frankly. And the president of France was talking about it, at least, Emmanuel Macron. I think it's a disgrace that the Western media just doesn't understand or, frankly, care what's going on, because it has the potential to get much worse and become a regional conflict, and the Western media just doesn't care. It's like the lives of the people in Ukraine, because of the efficacy of Russian propaganda domestically in the West, don't matter at all. And it's almost shocking. It really is. It's disgusting. It kind of bothers me. And there's only one side in this conflict that has ever done this, by the way. In the Russian-Ukraine conflict, that has ever launched the types of attacks that came in last night on civilian. We're not talking like military targets on the Black Sea. We're not even talking like military targets next to civilian targets in like the war area. We're talking like very into Ukraine territory where there's just civilians, like where the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense, I believe, was hit for the first time since World War II. But that's at least, you could legitimately argue, a military target. But some of the other things that Ukraine hit last night were not. Let me just show you some of the strikes in Kiev. Just some. This was last night in Kiev. And then I have some other footage for you as well. Yeah, it wasn't. So, first 48, Russia's argument was that Ukraine, one of their strikes hit a dorm at a college. It is unverified. Russia did put out a list of college students who were killed. That was Russia's argument for why they struck civilians. But I want to be clear, simultaneously, Russia then put out a statement saying that they didn't strike any civilians, which is just demonstrably not true. I'll show you a lot of footage from overnight. The footage is almost overwhelming. It's almost impossible to process, not to mention explain, but I will show it to you meticulously. First 48, there's so many people trapped in Lebanon and elsewhere. I don't know if there were people trapped. I haven't seen footage from that scene, but I will look into it. I saw a little girl, thank God she was alive, get saved from the rubble in southern Lebanon yesterday. I think it was near Sur or Nabatayeth. It was heartbreaking. And this little girl buried under a bombed out building. It was as bad as when I saw the little 1-year-old and the Iranian Red Crescent had to save her, but she was dead. That was very hard to watch. I didn't show you that one. But yesterday they saved this little baby. She was a little baby. She was under the rubble in South Lebanon, and they, even though the Lebanese ambulance service gets bombed, they went right in there, and they saved her, and she lived. That was terrifying. Now that I think about it, it's become way too routine for me to see footage of people buried under buildings. It's become almost normalized. It's heartbreaking. This was the footage last night from Kiev. I'll continue to take you through these updates. These were some very intense attacks. I'm going to show you footage from inside a residential apartment building in Kiev last night.
Fucking Russians. Shit. It's freaking loud.
That's terrifying. That's the reality of war. And, oh, thank you, Michael Brown. God bless you. And yes, you know, I remember what Pope Leo said. He said that as journalists, we have an obligation to show the human impact of war. And so as intense as it may be, even as other things are occurring in other parts of the world, I must show you what is occurring in Kiev, and I must keep you updated on the human impact of that war. What? I don't like that username. No, I don't like that username. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. No, thank you. You have a good day now, sir. That's not welcome here. This is kind of like a news channel, you know? There's like a lot of different countries that watch this channel. And I just won't stand for that. Neither will Nightbot. You know, Nightbot takes a lot of flack. But God bless Nightbot. Alright, here's again a video of that missile that Russia fired. This is a very rare piece of footage. This missile has been fired before by Russia, but never at Kiev.
Блять, на нас! Блять!
Та не кричи.
Та тихо. Цифулі або хто. Воно де теж де.
Ёб твою мать! Знаєте, що це? Орешник.
Орешник, воно точно розлетів.
Now, that was just an inert... There's nothing inert at Mach 5, but that was just an inert version of that weapon. Here's some more footage of the Russian launches themselves, which were near the Black Sea. These are 18 Kalibr launches. I don't know what type of missile that is. This is a 4x speed clip of the Russian missiles launching from their naval fleet. Triple hit bomb got yelled at. Everybody calm down. Hashtag save Nightbot. He does triple hit bomb. These are the actual Russian missiles launching. I don't know who got this footage or how. Even more going up. So I don't know who's just hanging out on the Black Sea next to like Russian missile launchers, but you know, it was from their naval fleet, which hasn't been active since March of 2026. God bless you, Derek. You know it. No towel tolerance for that kind of nonsense that person was throwing down. That's true, Frank. I agree. Frame drop. We are back. Hello. Sorry about that. I love my internet, but its uptime is not 100%. It's fine. I love it. I'm a big fan. Yep. If you ever get a buffer symbol, it will never last more than 6 to 10 seconds. And if it won't go away, just refresh. Now, what you're seeing up on your screen, this is what the citizens of Kiev woke up to this morning. Now, as my impartial war reporter duties mandate, I will tell you that this is burn off from an ammunition depot. So I was critical, and every time there is a strike on a civilian area, I will tell you, this is near a civilian area, but it is not a civilian area. What you are looking at is what's called burn off from a munitions depot. So Russia struck, first of all, I don't know how Ukraine has this many weapons. They're clearly very well supplied. Standing Stones, God bless you, my friend. Thank you for the well wishes. You're wonderful. But take a look at this footage. This is what it looks like when a munitions depot, the word is called burns off. It means that the plant has been burning, the munitions storage has been burning all night, because after the initial hits, there was such intense, it's called a conflagration, such intense fires that it set off the whole stockpile. It's called a burn off. That's still burning now. At least it was as of 2 hours ago. It's a munitions depot in Ukraine. Just stunning pictures. If you're just waking up, Ukraine has experienced, and I am not exaggerating, the country of Ukraine has experienced the worst wave of bombings, I think I can say, since World War II. More intense than any way. I know you may say, but the Russia-Ukraine war has been going on for 5 years. Yes. I'm not downplaying this. I'm not an expert. I'm getting better because my dear friend Triple Bob keeps me updated every day. So I know a lot about this conflict. I think it's probably fair to say this was the most intense bombing raid on the country of Ukraine since World War II, including all 5 years of the ongoing conflict with Russia. 5 years. Russia took the Donbass in 2014. 12 years. Correction. These are daytime missile strikes, by the way. Just like 3 hours ago. Maybe 4. That's a Russian missile. See how quickly it hits? Water under the fridge. You stand firm in defense of the Great Lakes, my friend. Just remember, no Iranian ships in the Great Lakes, and if they arrive, it will be the fault of the Canadians. Now, let me just be clear. I told you I'd call it down the middle. When I said that there was a hit on an ammo depot earlier by Russia, I called it. This is a blatant, gratuitous war crime. It is a strike on a civilian center, a railway center in the middle of Kiev, the main one, destroyed. This is this morning. This is Lukhanivia Market and metro station in the middle of Kiev. It's destroyed. That is blurred. Just to be clear, that is blurred. You are looking at just unimaginable levels of destruction in civilian areas. You realize that metro station is a bomb shelter. They bombed it to target the civilians under the bomb shelter. Now, if you think that if I'm showing you one angle, no. There is an apocalypse in Ukraine this morning. I'm not over exaggerating. It's worse than almost anything. Maybe not as bad as what Iran went through. It may actually be up there, and it happened in 3 hours, overnight. These are civilian areas. This is this morning. Oh, God bless you, water under the fridge. Save the goats and the Great Lakes, free unhurried and razor and ship. Hashtag save all the goats. God bless you, my friend. And God bless you, Bo and Kofi and Tao Mom Bunny. God bless you all. It's my honor to be with you on my Tao birthday today. My name is Grant Smith Ellis. It's coming up on 11:15 a.m. Eastern here on Sunday, May 24th, 2026. I was born, 37 or so years ago. Shout out to my friend Rekka, who shares a birthday with me. Hello, my dear friend. It was great to chat with you earlier in chat. And hello to my friend Francine. It was great to get a message from you earlier as well. Hello, AI. How are you doing, my dear friend? Well, listen, there's an argument. There's always a tit-for-tat argument, my dear friend AI, 100%. There's always the argument that once a war starts and there's an attack by one side, there's always going to be an attack by the other, which justifies an attack by the first side, which justifies an attack by the other side, and so on and so forth. I believe they call that a Thucydides trap or an escalation trap. But yes, I take your point. I'm calling it like I see it. If it's an attack on an army facility, I call it that way. If it's an attack on a civilian facility, I call it that way. If it's by Ukraine on Russia, I call it that way. If it's by Russia on Ukraine, I call it that way. If it's by Israel on Hezbollah, I call it that way. If it's by Israel on civilians, I call it that way, etc., etc. I try to just report what's happening, and then whatever the geopolitical justifications are, and however the domestic polities of the various constituencies of these various leaders react, that's really not my business. They have to make informed decisions, in my opinion, based on like their understanding of the field developments. I view my role as just to convey what's happening. So, yeah. But I understand the various perspectives. This is what the map, if you're wondering, this is what the map looked like of those attacks. Someone tried to chart it. I think it's almost impossible to do so, but someone did try to chart it. Okay, you can take a look at it right up there. All right, that is what it looks like charted. All right, that's what it looks like actually charted on a map. All right, it's pretty overwhelming to look at the amount of attacks, and you're looking at drones. You're looking at ballistic missiles, which always come in north of Kiev, and then they go south of Kiev and hit from the south. They always go this way to avoid the air defenses. Then you're looking at other missiles coming this way, basically a complete encirclement through ballistic missiles and drones and other types of missiles by Russia overnight on Ukraine. Now, you see a lot of these maps from day to day, but there's never been a map like this. I track them a lot. Sometimes you get a few red lines going like this. Sometimes there are heavy attack nights, but this was what could best be described as an all-out, like, short of using nuclear missiles, they basically went all out. I'm going to show you more footage which puts it into perspective. I don't really, the scale of the humanitarian catastrophe in Kiev, like the French president is probably not going to be the only person to respond to this, I would imagine. Like, this is a very serious situation. I could spend probably 4 hours with you today showing you the scope, and this is one city. And again, Russia is claiming they hit no civilian targets, which is nonsense. It's not true. It's a lie. That is a civilian residential apartment building that is burning down from a ballistic missile strike from Russia. And you can see I get a little frustrated, perhaps rightfully so. Because if you're going to do it, at least own up to it. Don't lie. These are civilian areas. That's the metro station, I'm pretty sure, from a different angle. Silent Dogs, not a tunnel, a bomb shelter for civilians under the metro station. I'll show you the impact in a second. It was brutal. It was some of the, this is more footage from central Kiev, the center of Kiev. This is downtown. These are not military targets. There was one building hit that was a military building, the Ministry of Defense, for the first time since World War II. But this was indiscriminate shelling of civilian targets. Ah, got your Silent Dogs. Well, Silent Dogs, I was actually having a great debate this morning about whether there are any real countries in the world according to the Silent Dogs meter. So you have a fond place in my heart, my friend. But yeah, no, this is unexcusable. It's egregious. I don't know if the world... First of all, the Western world is only just waking up, literally. I'm not sure, even though it's 4 p.m. in Europe, if they fully understand what has happened. It's unimaginable. It's not Gaza, but Russia started to level the capital of Ukraine. I'm probably understating the scope of the damage. And I'll show you more footage now of some of the missiles that fell, and then I'll show you the actual footage. Here's the Ukrainian air interceptors up here, and then that's the Russian missiles striking in the middle. And Ukraine does have air interceptors, but you can't intercept. Like, look how many air interceptors Ukraine's trying to fire. That they're firing like at least 100, maybe 50 to 100. They didn't stand a chance against that missile. That was the cluster missile from a different angle, but it shows you the interceptors trying to get the missile. They're just too fast for any interceptor. And then watch the interceptors keep going because they try to get the next round of missile fire, and they just fail. They don't stand a chance. So these missiles are very dangerous. I showed you that massive fire. These are very, very dangerous missiles. I'm not really sure. I think people will start to realize this. It is a holiday weekend, but this was very bad. I'm not sure Ukraine will be forced to respond. You can't. This is just, it's brutal.
О, капец.
This is in the shelters. Oh my.
О, капец.
Do you understand what that is, folks watching? That is, I didn't know this video was in the compilation, but I know what this is because I saw the follow-up report. That is a shelter under the Kiev metro station. The explosion you saw there is the elevator shaft. Yes, that is an explosion going down the elevator shaft and blowing out into the shelter.
О, капец.
Watch right here. That's the elevator. This is an underground shelter under the Kiev metro station. That is an elevator shaft. You see the explosion? See how it's isolated? They are underground, very deep. That explosion is going down the shaft and then penetrating into the shelter through the elevator shaft. The amount of force it takes to do that. I didn't even know that clip was up, but that demonstrates exactly the amount of force required. And you can see now the city of Kiev is burning. From every angle. That was the munitions depot I showed you earlier. That's called a burn-off. You can see the secondary. I say secondary, but those are probably like the 50th or 100th or 1,000th post-initial explosion. Hello, Shine. It's so good to see you. God bless you. Hello, Jesse. God bless you. Just apocalyptic. I don't think apocalyptic is even the appropriate level of word to describe what happened to Kiev last night. I'll show you more footage now. I'll show you as much as I can. Oh my word. How did that man live? Oh, God bless him. This is Kiev this morning. Oh my word, how did he live? Oh, that's really scary. I've never heard a sound like that in my life. It has like a whoosh sound. I'll play it again. Oh my goodness, it sounds like a freight train. Alright, so that's unlike any... I watch a lot of these videos to analyze the munitions and try to understand the weaponry that each side in a conflict has. I've never... That sounded like a freight train crashing into his building. I'll play it for you one more time. This is Kiev this morning. That's a Russian missile hitting a civilian area. What more proof do you need that it's a civilian area? That's shocking and also horrifying.
Сука, це ж що може... Ба! Сука, це ж що може...
I mean, I don't know. Kinetic, yes, it definitely uses this equation, force equals mass times acceleration. That is accelerating so fast into the Earth. And it doesn't even need to have that big of a warhead on it. That is just an exceptional amount of force. It's scary. It truly is. This is the human impact of war. Taking you now to southern Lebanon, which was occurring at the same time Kiev was being shelled. This is the result of... By the way, this was after Iran... Now, what I'm worried about is that Pakistan presented two different agreements. One to the U.S., one to Iran. Iran's understanding, from what Ali Hashim reported, is that Israel has to stop bombing Lebanon, whether it's Hezbollah or otherwise. That's part of the deal. The cessation of conflict on all fronts, including and most importantly Lebanon, but also Yemen and Iraq. This is what happened in Lebanon this morning. This is not Kiev, this is Lebanon now. Israel will not stop. So when you see those alerts from Hezbollah, trust me, I track this. It is always after Israel issues a forced displacement order. If the civilians are lucky, sometimes they don't even do that. Forced displacement is itself a war crime. And then they'll bomb. And then Hezbollah will retaliate. Because otherwise this would happen and nothing would be done after. Civilians are being hit. There are double and triple taps. Ambulances going to rescue people in Lebanon are getting hit when they go to save people. This is as the bombs were falling in Kiev. Now, taking you to the Kiev metro. As I mentioned, this is why the metro station was bombed. It wasn't just to destroy the metro station. Look what Russia did to the bomb shelter under the metro station. They destroyed it. They actually managed to penetrate the most important, one of the biggest civilian bomb shelters in Kiev. This is like a deep underground metro bomb station. Frank, yeah, it's either French imperialism, British imperialism, or the Corporation for the City of London, or some combination of all three, or the Russians, or the Dutch. You know, mostly the British, though, caused this. The British escape a lot of blame, you know, because they're a little bit, after Suez, they got kind of, you know, made irrelevant, you know, Trident, Polaris, dual key, all that. We don't have to Anglo-American special relationship. We try to let them keep their pride. They're a very prideful people, all right? But they used to own my countrymen, so I don't have a lot of sympathy for them. They also burned down the White House. You know, as mad as I am at Canada for raising their flag over Detroit in 1812, I'm even more mad at the British for burning down the White House. Nobody ever really did anything about it. I'm still a little, you know, aggrieved over that. But the point is, if you really want to blame someone for all of this, it's Benjamin Netanyahu's fault. But in the wider scale, on the Hegelian syntactical dialectical sort of scale, yes, synthetical dialectical scale, it can be a syntactical synthetical dialectic, I suppose. That was a fancy way of saying that. My point is, it's the British fault. It's the fault of the British. Okay, there's no doubt in my mind that in the late 1800s and early 1900s, the British went into Iran as colonialists. They imposed a ridiculous oil distribution deal where the British took 84% under the name of some ridiculous corporate charter that they had at the time, the British Arab, Persian, whatever, the thing that became BNP, the British National Petroleum Company. It was called something else at the time, like something like the British East India Company, but for the Middle East. Anyway, they went in there, they imposed an 84-16 split. 84% went to the British, 16% went to the Iranian. Wasn't it nice of the British to let the Iranians keep 16% of their own oil? I know, they're so generous. I'm being sarcastic. Anyway, so then you get this really complex situation where in 1907, the religious hardliners and the democratic sort of institutions in Iran both joined together, and they're like, you know what, we got screwed really hard by the British colonialists. I think Iran should have a parliament. So the British were like, no, bro, you can't have a parliament. And Iran was like, well, screw you, we're going to make a parliament. Therefore, Iran is the world's only theocratic, democratic, representative, sort of decent consultative hierarchy. Now, you can argue all you want about how the Guardian Council, in particular in the 2024 elections, disapproved or rejected 94% of the candidates for the ballot at the explicit instruction of the supreme leader, and therefore Iran's constitutional parliamentary structure is actually subservient to the supreme leader, the Supreme National Council, and the IRGC. That's absolutely a fair critique, but the point is it's still the world's only theocratic democracy, and it's specifically because of the British. So anyway, the British then did a bunch of other bad stuff, and that basically resulted in the 1953 coup, where America, and I'm sure British interests, overthrew the Iranian democracy and installed the Shah. Now, the Shah, he kind of limped along until like 75, when he did a very dumb thing. He tried to change agricultural commodity distribution to supermarkets in Iran. I don't have the time to explain to you why supermarkets in Iran are so unique, especially why they were so unique in 1975. Just understand the distribution chain from farms to Iran, from farms in Iran to supermarkets, is like a very important sort of issue, economically, culturally, civically, socially, otherwise. So anyway, the Shah does something dumb and tries to change how this system works in 1975. That foments a lot of unrest, in turn leading to this like political dissident movement where this one guy who was allied with the first Ayatollah Khamenei, who's different than Khomeini. He was killed by the Shah's men in 1978, leading to the 1979 revolution. Now, in turn, the theocratic hardliners of Iran kept in place the democracy, but the country of Iran is basically built on this notion that they nationalized their oil supply as a rejection of British post-colonialism, which took the form of corporate oil domination of the Middle East. That's actually why the country of Kuwait exists. That's why the country of Bahrain exists. And frankly, that's why we're in this cluster F of a situation. I blame the people who discovered oil in the rivers of Pennsylvania in the 1860s. I actually blame J.D. Rockefeller, J.P. Morgan, the Rothschilds, and various other banking and petroleum conglomerates that attempted to take over my damn country in the early decades of the 1900s. But, can't really undo history. You just got to try to fix it. But the point is, it's really the fault of the British. If you want to blame anyone for the situation going on in the Middle East, maybe not so much the situation in Russia and Ukraine. That's a whole nother can of worms, Pandora's box, whatever you may want to say. But the point is, yes, blame the British. Thank you, Mercury Star. Thank you, Illy. God bless you both for your birthday wishes. Thank you, G Reaper. I was on a little bit of a rant about the British. Well, Silent Dogs, we can also blame all the non-existent countries, per the Silent Dog standards, in the world for the fact that they allowed the British to do this. I agree. Hashtag blame the British. And also, French colonialism caused Vietnam. Here's another angle of that terrifying missile, by the way. It was inert, quote unquote. It did not have nuclear warheads, but if Russia fired nukes, they would use this kind of missile. Thank you, First 48. God bless you.
Нет, я знаю. Не, ну ладно, он просто так разделился, я подумал.
Yes, we can blame the British for basically everything. I'm perfectly fine with that. What's Keir Starmer going to do about it? He can barely hold his own government together.
Не, ну ладно, он просто так разделился, я подумал, что...
Frickin' Keir Starmer. Here's more images taking you back to Kiev now. The just scope of the destruction, it's almost unfathomable. These are continuously burning ammunition depots in the daytime today, Sunday. Michael Brown says, Marshall McLuhan would say this current war is a side effect of giving people access to ChatGPT and AI. The polarities manifest by any new technology lead to convenience as much as they do chaos. 100%. Target banks are selected by AI. 100%. You're on the money. It's the deployment of new technology in ways that are uncontrolled. And we're either going to have the birth of like an emerge. Oh, Andre, God bless you. So good to see you, my friend. Thank you for being with me on this special day. We're either going to have the emergence of a benevolent digital epoch, or we're going to have the collapse of civilization as we know it. I think we can go either way. I think we're moving in a positive direction. I've spoken before how I thought not in the style of Francis Fukuyama's The End of History, not speaking in terms of the polarity between sort of Huntington's Clash of Civilizations and Fukuyama's End of History. Speaking in the Towelian concept of end of history, I argue that the Hegelian dialectical form artificially stopped its progression in 2001 for a lot of different reasons, and therefore over the past 25 years history wasn't able to move forward naturally into its next age or epoch, you could call it, the transition from the age of Pisces to the age of Aquarius, you can call it the shift into the digital era, whatever. It artificially was prevented from moving forward because there was a dominant cultural thesis that artificially suppressed the emergence of its cultural antithesis through this very complex intelligence network, propaganda apparatus, etc. However, due to various factors, central to which was Iran sort of demystifying the hegemonic military prestige of what they would call the Epstein coalition, which is different than the actual polity of America and Israel, etc. That caused a fundamental realignment, not just in the geopolitics of the Middle East and the wider world and sort of the multipolar alignment of international relations, but also I would argue it broke the chain and allowed history to naturally move forward. Whatever the synthesis is going to be between the Western predominant cultural thesis and the emergence of a sort of more Eastern or Middle Eastern or multipolar sort of legitimate world order. I don't know what it's going to look like, but there will be a natural synthesis and we'll all be better off for it because the last 25 years have been terrible. They've sucked. There was a monoculture, then there was just a complete death of the culture, and then it was filled with this just vacuous sadness where we all became culturally alienated and everyone was sad all the time and going through the world like a bunch of faceless robots who sat at a desk doing nothing to placate some other guy or girl who does nothing, so some other guy in an accounting department can check off on a spreadsheet that they were there in a building doing nothing. No one ever said that a transition into a new epoch was going to be comfortable, though. Hashtag towel for president. More images from Kiev this morning. I was ranting a little bit there. I get some birthday leniency for ranting. You only got me for another 30 minutes. It's my birthday. Thank you all for your support, your kind donations, all of your wonderful words. I will do my best to keep reporting. Even on my Tao birthday, I felt it was very important because of the scope of the catastrophe. But what do? You're inevitably going to end up in a sort of strange mindset on one's birthday. So I'll do my best. More footage from Kiev this morning. All of these are different videos. Take you to another video now of a missile striking Kiev in the daytime today on Sunday. Did you see the missile? Do you see it? It's right there. You see it? It's right. That's the missile right there. Under the U. See it? Now it's behind the cloud. Now it's right there. See it? That's a missile. Oh, God bless you, Miss Clutch. Thank you so much. So good to see you all on this short towel birthday catch-up stream. You're all wonderful. That was a very intense video. Taking you to Pakistan now, where 24 people were killed and 82 others were injured in a blast that hit a train in Quetta, Pakistan. Multiple vehicles and nearby buildings were damaged and train cars were blown off the rails. Just devastating scenes. Remember, Pakistan is the key mediator in the talks between the U.S. and Iran. Devastating terror attack in Pakistan. This attack was claimed very quickly by, I believe, ISIS. just to show you the scope of the damage, this is where the train is in the background. Look at the parking lot.
Oh, why गाड़ी होती ना 2 4 6 15 20 गाड़ी हो.
Scenes of this was a terror. This was not a missile. It's unclear how they managed to cause this much destruction. This was a terror attack in the area of Pakistan, specifically Quetta, Quetta's railway station. I'm now going to show you even more footage from a different angle. This is called Burna. This is in Kiev now, at a munitions depot. That's called burn-off. So you're seeing secondary, probably multiple follow-up explosions. The strike probably happened hours earlier. And the fire is just immense. The drone started from Hezbollah at around 3:10 a.m. this morning. Now I'll show you the center of Kiev. This is the center of Kiev. It is destroyed. I don't know how America and Europe is allowing this to happen. It looks like World War II. It literally looks like we've abandoned like the Sudetenland and Czechoslovakia and Poland and France. We've just given up on them. It looks like World War II. That's disturbing. That is what should be a modern European city bombed out. That's not one bomb like we would see from time to time in Doha or Abu Dhabi. No, that is a bombed out city center. The amount of munitions you have to use to bomb out that much of a city is unfathomable. That is perhaps... I don't think we're... Listen, I am one man. Okay, I understand I do my best to carry a lot of weight for the other news stations. I do my best. Especially with real-time war coverage. But I don't think the West has caught up. Like, I didn't see flash headlines about this. It's destructive. It's disturbing. If this continues, there won't be a Kiev. So it makes NATO look inept. It makes the European Union look inept. It makes America look inept, frankly. It's bad. And the only leader I saw say anything, at least this morning, was Emmanuel Macron. No, Ursula von der Leyen, I think the president of the EU, also said something. But the point is, if they do this over and over, and I don't know how many times Russia can do this, they spent a lot of money last night. It's not cheap to do that. Les Paul, God bless you. Thank you for being with us. I love your username. Absolutely epic username. But I'm perturbed. I'm frankly perturbed that I didn't see any flash headlines. I realize the U.S.-Iran peace deal is going to dominate, but the New York Times... I don't know, the Post, they're really falling, and a lot of the Western stations, I don't think this would have been headline news if it were 1939. And this is worse than, I mean, it's not the fall of Paris, but it's a harbinger. And if Kiev falls, so goes Europe. We could see another Iron Curtain. And frankly, I'm worried Mr. President is not in a position to put Mr. Putin in his place. You can't negotiate with President Putin. He's either got you blackmailed or he doesn't. And I'm a little worried about the current state of this administration, who the men in the administration like to frolic a little bit too much, okay? They like to stray. I'm a monogamist myself. My point is, it makes you susceptible to blackmail. What's the problem with blackmail? It's not just you get embarrassed, it's that people will say to you, hey, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and you can't stop me. Well, yeah. Is that a golden goat? Oh, my goodness. Oh, it's a golden goat. Look at the goat above. Look at it. Look at it. Look at it. That was the greatest thing I've ever seen. Oh, Rezaron, you are wonderful. God bless. Do you all understand that that goat just danced above my head? YouTube created the ability for you to have a goat dance above my head. Now, if that's not the greatest thing you've ever seen in your entire life, I don't know what is. Buffer incoming. We're back. We're back. I'm back. Hello. Hello! I told you there was a buffer incoming. My internet's really good, but it does drop frames every once in a while. So if you ever get a buffer, I'm still here. Chinatown, how are you? I know. Among the absolute destruction, I have to say hello to my friends. Standing Stones, I know, right? It is pretty cool to see the goat dance, though. God bless you, Rezaron. That... I actually, the CEO of YouTube talked about in like an X post how his team, or their team rolled this out. I just don't remember the person's name. How they rolled this out the other day. It's so wonderful. Like a team actually spent the time. It's a great feature. I love it. To like deploy this ability to have like, and they like screen the ones you can put up on the screen ahead of time. You have to like pick from a pre-selected list, but the things dance, and one of them is a goat. And you don't understand. We love the goats on this channel. Hashtag save the goats. So the fact that a goat can just start dancing above my head like a golden goat and rotating, it just warms my heart. Oh, I'm a little towel. I need a golden goat. Standing Stones, guess what? Guess what, Standing Stones? What's that? Yeah, Standing Stones. So just as a mental decompression break, that's a goat. Did you know Standing Stones sent me a picture of a goat, and I saved it in my streaming software so I can just bring up a picture of a goat whenever I want? It's great. I know, we're a very goat-based channel. We love goats. The reason we love goats, by the way, is that on March 9th, 2026, we got concerned because there was a herd of goats going through South Lebanon and coming up through Beirut, and they were fleeing the bombing in South Lebanon, and we got really worried about them. And it turns out a bunch of people in the chat have either baby goats, or know people with goats, or like goats, or have pictures of goats. So we're a very like goat, friendly channel, but we also save other type of animals. Save the doggos, save the cats, save the eels, the dolphins, the sheep. We, anything that we can save that is an animal, we're all about it. But goats have a special place in our heart because of that flock of goats that was displaced from southern Lebanon. Oh, Chinatown, my friend, God bless you. One day we will either get you in the presence of a baby goat, or my friend Mimi, she has a baby goat named Ellie. You can meet the baby goat. I'm excited to do so. That was your mental decompression break based on Standing Stone's wonderful picture of a goat. All right, let's continue with our updates. So I gave you a listen to what happened, and I gave you the update on the terror attack in Pakistan. I showed you downtown Kiev. I want to show you more footage from Kiev just so you can understand the scope of this attack. This is the Kiev Metro. Just heartbreaking scenes. That's the Kiev Metro. That's the, you're not looking at some like outskirts of the city. That is the city center. It was burning down this morning. This is supposed to be our ally. Listen, if I were the president of the United States, you understand I would be giving a national address this morning. First of all, I would not have gotten into a war with Iran. I just want to make that clear. Unless they attacked other countries first, or like committed an attack against the U.S. or used a proxy to do so, I would not have attacked them first. Sorry, not doing it. Second, if I were the president, I would frame drop. We're back. Another frame drop. I would say I think it's completely unacceptable. Whatever you may think about the war between Russia and Ukraine, at the end of the day, you have allies and you have people who are hostile to your interests as a country. Russia's part of the BRICS, okay? Ukraine is not. Ukraine is our ally. Russia is not. What's happened overnight is a travesty. It's a scar on the face of the international community. At least President Macron said something. I expect to see him on the Charles de Gaulle singing the Marseillaise and, commanding his troops, into battle with a sword. Isn't that what the French do? I don't know. I'm not French. I don't want to impose on their cultural traditions. Maybe that's how they do it. My point is, this is what President Zelensky had to say this morning. I put English captions on it before.
Шановні українці, сьогодні відночі.
This is what,
Шановні
and you can
українці,
see he
сьогодні
had a tough
відночі.
night.
Всюди, де потрібно, працюють рятувальники та необхідні служби. Всім, хто був поранений, цим ударом буде надана допомогу. Це наш обов'язок, і держава його виконає. Я вдячний кожному і кожній, хто працює на місцях після ударів, щоб допомогти нашим людям. Зараз відомо, що постраждало щонайменше 83 людини. Від початку доби, на жаль, є загиблі. Мої співчуття рідним та близьким. Важкий був удар, ракет різних типів 90, із них багато балістики 36, 600 дронів. На жаль, не всю балістику вдалося збити. Найбільше влучань у Києві, і саме Київ був основною мішенню цієї російської атаки. Путін вже і слово «ура» не може нормально вимовити, шамкає, а все ще своїми ракетами перемагає житлові будинки. 3 російські ракети проти об'єкта водопостачання, спалив ринок, десятки житлових будинків пошкодив, кілька звичайних шкіл, запустив свій арешник проти Білої церкви, реально неадеквати. Важливо, щоб це для Росії не залишалось без наслідків. Сьогодні кожен у світі, хто не промовчить, хто допомагатиме Україні, є захисником життя. Дуже важливо продовжувати працювати, щоб було ППО для України, зокрема проти балістики. Мати Росію поруч – це постійна загроза. Наші люди в Україні цю загрозу стримують і зупиняють, але світу варто чітко бачити, з ким маєте справу. 5-й рік повномасштабної війни. І від перших секунд це неспровокована терористична війна Росії проти життя. Ми робимо все, щоб встановити мир і захистити людей. Все. І важливо, щоб Україна була не наодинці. Потрібні рішення і від Сполучених Штатів Америки, і від Європи, і від інших, щоб цей старий орешник в Москві вимовив слово «мир». Дякую всім, хто допомагає. Слава Україні!
The latest from the Ukrainian president. And listen, I know a lot of people have critiques, especially because of what the Russians have said about Ukraine's domestic politics. But money's not an issue in Ukraine anymore. Ukraine has so much money that every person in Ukraine, I'm not talking about civilians, every person in Ukraine who's involved with that money could spend their life spending it, and they couldn't spend 1/1,000,000th of what they just got from the Middle East. So it's a zero-sum equation. You're either, and some of you are around the world are in BRICS countries, so I can't really judge you for that. But from an American analytical perspective, as an analyst, not as a reporter, yes, Ukraine's the ally, Russia is not. What happened last night, if it happened in any other place in the world, any European capital, God forbid an American capital, anywhere, a Middle Eastern capital, in Israel's capital, God forbid, it would be World War II levels of response. That's how bad it was. And so that's really my concern. It doesn't really have to do with the politics of it. It has to do with the just raw realpolitik, which is different than politics. Realpolitik is the notion of power, soft power dynamics, hard power dynamics, expanding, preserving and demonstrating power on behalf of states on the international scene. It's a zero-sum equation. You either have it, or you either have an ally or an enemy. I wish it were more nuanced, but it's not. The politics of reality indeed. So let me take you now, before I take you to the developments this morning in southern Lebanon, let me take you to an excellent article by Ali Hashem for Waja Media. Ali Hashem, of course, dear colleague, I have known Ali since 2023 and monitored his work, covered his work, analyzed his work, clipped his work. He's a wonderful journalist, a subject matter expert on Iran. If you've watched the stream before, you've heard me sing Ali Hashem's praises. It's an honor to consider Ali a colleague, along with Zena Kador and Trey Yingst. I think three of the journalists who typify and define the very best of modern reporting, whether it be in the context of war or otherwise. I think combined, they probably have like 110 years of reporting experience. I'm not kidding you. They are the deans of the reporting corps in order. Probably, it's tough. It's really hard to rank Zena and Ali because Zena Kador is a subject matter expert in South Lebanon, and Ali's a subject matter expert in South Lebanon and Iran, but more Iran. Ali probably has more years of reporting. I think Zena Kador and Ali probably go back to the founding of Al Jazeera as a channel. And Trey Yingst has probably worked for Fox in the field since, I don't know, 2019, maybe before, maybe after. So he's probably got 7 to 10 years. So combined, they're very close to 100 years of experience, just the three of them. The dean of that press corps, I'd say Ali and Zena would probably be considered the dean of that press corps. I really do. I think that Heidi Pett also is coming up in that press corps. There's like a very specific press corps that is just very knowledgeable, analytical, and objective about coverage of that specific region. And there's only like 4 people in it. So it's an honor to consider them colleagues. Here's Ali Hashem's perspective on the peace deal, quote unquote, that's developing between the U.S. and Iran. And Ali, of course, has the best line to the Iranian delegation outside of someone like Professor Marandi. I would actually argue Ali, because of his sources in Tehran and the IRGC, probably has a better line to the Iranian position. This is the closest you're going to get than any other reporter. So let's take a listen. British reporter Tal, would you be so kind?
Inside story, Iran-US deal takes shape but thorniest contentions lie ahead. An illustration of the flags of Iran and the United States, May 23, 2026. Source, Imogen, Google. A draft framework for a potential comprehensive agreement between Iran and the United States is circulating among negotiating parties, according to multiple regional sources briefed on the talks. If finalized, the proposal would mark the most significant diplomatic step since the Pakistan-brokered ceasefire that halted nearly 6 weeks of war. A conflict that began on February 28 with Israel's killing of then Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei in a joint attack on high-ranking officials and vital sites across Iran. The war transformed the region in ways no one had fully mapped. It drew Lebanese Hezbollah into open combat within days. It shut the Strait of Hormuz, a maritime choke point through which 1/5 of seaborne crude flowed to the world. It produced one round of direct Iran-US talks in Islamabad that went nowhere, and it set in motion a separate Lebanon-Israel negotiating track that is still alive but fragile. Now, amid a ceasefire that has held without being formalized, the actors involved appear to be attempting something more durable. The draft framework, as described to Amwaj, media by Arab and Iranian sources, includes an end to hostilities on all fronts, including Lebanon, the release of several $1 billion in frozen Iranian assets, the lifting of the US naval blockade, and the withdrawal of American forces from the immediate vicinity of Iran. Subsequently, the parties will have 30 days to agree on the nuclear issue, with the possibility of an extension of talks by mutual agreement. 2 annexes, 1 framework. The architecture of the nascent agreement is more complex than a single document. According to a source familiar with the structure, the details President Donald Trump has referenced publicly relate to 2 separate understandings that will be attached as annexes to the main Memorandum of Understanding. Negotiations on those annexes, the source said, remain active. Importantly, the sequencing matters. Financial and security provisions appear designed to create enough mutual interest, sanctions relief, military de-escalation and a reopened Strait of Hormuz, to bring both sides into the nuclear negotiations with something concrete to lose. One of the annexes concerns the issue of Iranian assets which have been frozen abroad due to US sanctions. Approximately 50% of Iran's blocked funds, amounting to some $12 billion United States dollars, are currently held across Qatar, Iraq and Turkey, according to a well-placed source in the region. Qatar, the informed source said, played a pivotal role in moving this dimension of the negotiations forward. In this vein, Tehran has now decided to formalize that relationship, signing a separate memorandum of understanding with Doha specifically addressing those funds. On the broader deal, Qatar's facilitation is not incidental. As before, it continues to be structural. Hormuz, the war's centerpiece. Upon the outbreak of war, the Strait of Hormuz quickly became the defining pressure point of the Iran-Israel-US confrontation. The Iranian military closed it almost immediately after the February 28 strikes, announcing that no foreign vessel would be permitted to pass without Iranian authorization. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, broadcast warnings on VHF radio. Hundreds of tankers sat stranded. Global oil prices surged. Washington responded with an aerial campaign targeting Iranian naval vessels beginning March 19. Subsequently, after talks in Islamabad led by U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance and Iranian Parliament Speaker Mohammad Bakir Kalibaf failed to produce an agreement in April, imposed a full naval blockade on ships moving to and from Iranian ports from April 13. Under the Pakistan-brokered ceasefire announced on April 8, Iran temporarily allowed some vessels passage through the strait. But the U.S. blockade was never fully lifted, and Iran never fully reopened. Each side imposed their respective closures and called the others a ceasefire violation. Shipping through the strait currently moves at a fraction of pre-war levels. Tehran's position in the new draft agreement is that long-term management of the strait is a strictly Iranian-Omani matter, as the two Hormuz littoral states, and those discussions are already underway in Muscat. It is highly uncertain whether this would be accepted by the United States. During the 30-day window for nuclear negotiations, passage would be facilitated. Whether Washington accepts the framing, or insists on a full and unconditional reopening of the maritime choke point before any agreement is signed, remains one of the central unresolved tensions. What the deal leaves out. If the proposed framework reflects what informed Arab and Iranian sources describe, it is as notable for what it differs as for what it addresses. The nuclear file is the subject of negotiations in the subsequent 30-day window, not within the current agreement being finalized itself. There are major differences over the fate of Iran's stockpile of enriched uranium, including the hundreds of kilograms of 60% purity, and also the length of a possible Iranian suspension of enrichment. Iran's ballistic missile program is not mentioned either. Tehran's regional role, its relationships with Hezbollah, Yemen's Ansarullah movement and other allied factions across the Arab world, remains entirely outside the text.
Houthis.
For Washington's regional partners, and above all for Israel, the latter omission is not a detail that could pass. The war was premised in part on dismantling the axis of resistance, led by Iran, that links the Islamic Republic to a widespread regional alliance network. A deal that relieves the military and financial pressure on Iran, without touching that architecture, represents a significant departure from the original stated logic for the war, whether acknowledged as such or not. The Israeli question. Israel, which has been pushing for a U.S. war on Iran for decades, has not hidden its unease with the direction of the talks. When the Iran-US ceasefire was announced on April 8, Iran and Pakistan both said it included Lebanon. Israel and the United States rejected that interpretation, and Israel continued its bombardment, including a wave of strikes that reportedly killed over 350 Lebanese in a single day. Iran responded by effectively maintaining its closure of Hormuz. It was that Israeli campaign, paradoxically, that unlocked direct Lebanon-Israel diplomacy for the first time since 1993. After more than 100 airstrikes hit central Beirut and surrounding areas, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced on April 9 that he had authorized direct negotiations with Lebanon. The talks opened at the State Department in Washington, hosted by U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, with Israel seeking Hezbollah's disarmament and Lebanon seeking a full ceasefire and eventual Israeli withdrawal. 3 rounds of talks have since taken place, the most recent at delegation level on May 14 to 15. No agreement has been reached. Israel says it will keep striking Hezbollah regardless. Lebanon says a full ceasefire must come before any political negotiation. Hezbollah has called the talks a free concession and urged Beirut to withdraw. The deeper question, the one that the draft framework does not answer, is what role Israel may play in any Iran-US deal. A bilateral memorandum of understanding between Tehran and Washington, if signed, would reshape the pressure map of the entire region. Whether Netanyahu accepts that, or finds ways to undermine it, will be as determinative as anything the two parties may agree to on paper. The Lebanon problem. Nowhere are the complications on display more acute than in the Lebanese dimension of the framework. Following the announcement of the truce with Iran in early April, the US said the ceasefire never formally included Lebanon. Pakistan's Prime Minister said it did. Iran said it did. Israel said it did not. The Trump administration eventually sided with Netanyahu. The distinction proved consequential. It gave Israel the cover to continue its campaign while the broader ceasefire nominally held. The 2026 Lebanon war, which Hezbollah entered on March 2, 2 days after Khamenei's killing, firing at Israeli positions in a strike it called the defensive act, has left more than 2,000 people dead and displaced over 1 million. A separate ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon came into effect on April 16, brokered by the United States, and has since been extended by 3 weeks. But Israel has continued to strike Hezbollah positions, and the Lebanese movement has continued to fire back. What an end to war would actually mean in Lebanon remains undefined. An Israeli withdrawal from occupied Lebanese territory is not on the table in the current talks. Hezbollah's disarmament, Israel's stated goal, is something Lebanon's government says can only be addressed politically after a full ceasefire, not as a precondition for one. Hezbollah itself has rejected the entire framework, calling the Lebanese government's decision to negotiate while under fire an act of surrender.
And that's where we're at. Ali Hashim's analysis, that's the best you're going to get. That is absolutely the best you're going to get. Silent dogs, do say hello to the dogs for me. God bless you all. Have a wonderful Sunday. Enjoy the weather if you're able to, wherever you are today. I'm now going to show you very loud footage. You need a sound warning. Full intensity. The Russian strikes on Kiev. This is the best I could find for you. It's a segment of various clips of the strikes. This was overnight in Kiev. Please be aware this may be very loud. And that was just some. That was just some of the strikes. I was not kidding. That was just some of the strikes on Kiev overnight. I showed you the scenes in southern Lebanon. More and more attacks this morning from both Israel towards Hezbollah, Hezbollah towards Israel. Here's footage from May 20th, just uploaded today from Hezbollah in Lebanon. Hello in Lebanon. It's so good to see you. God bless you, my friend. Hezbollah footage. Of course, my pleasure in Lebanon. Happy to show the on-the-ground footage. Taking you now to earlier today, 6 hours ago in Nabatayeth, the Sisters' Quarter, heavily damaged today by Israeli strikes. This is Nabatayeth in southern Lebanon. That would be in South Lebanon. Showing you more now from Kiev. Here is the follow-up. This is what the residents of Kiev woke up to this morning. Did I hear a question as to whether the Blood Guardians have released a new video? Oh, that you have come to the right place. If you're wondering, oh no, Silent Dog's already left. Silent Dogs, I'm so sorry. There was a new Blood Guardians video. I have it for you. It was released on May 21st. This is 3 days old, but Miss FAFO has requested it. Silent Dogs, if you watch the replay or come back, alerts. The Blood Guardians did release a new video. I'll play it for you. As the sound of more alerts, there's a drone in the north of Israel to the east of Nir Tanya, the northeast in particular, near the town of Adamit. Okay, that's what you're hearing in the background. So much for this cessation of hostilities. Let's take a look at the requested video, the latest from the Blood Guardians. More. Where's the other one? Shlomi and Adamit. Oh no. Oh, this is a very intense pace of drone activity today. It continues to increase, actually. I would say the Lebanon is... Oh, another one. Oh, 4 of them. Oh, goodness. Oh, there are a lot of drones in North Israel right now. Oh, goodness. No, that you're hearing... I'm shutting off the alerts, and then they're continuing to alert. Oh, even more. Oh, there's a lot of drones. It's a drone wave. Oh, that's a lot of drones. Oh, goodness, that's a lot of drones. Oh, more. Oh, they just continue coming across the border. Oh, goodness, that's a missile. Oh, no, this is a serious problem. Hezbollah is launching, as we speak right now, a pretty intense attack on Hanita, Adamit, Yarada, Ilion, and Shlomi to the northeast of Nir Tanya on the confrontation line between South Lebanon, south of Nakura, and North Israel, as I mentioned, northeast of Nir Tanya. Those are all different alerts. You're watching the map on the southeast of southwest. The bottom left of your screen just light up. This is probably the most ferocious pace of activity I have seen while covering this conflict live during the supposed so-called ceasefire. I don't believe that the conflict in Lebanon is slowing down. In fact, I believe the pace of activity in that arena of conflict is only increasing, and as the conflict in Lebanon and its cessation is a red line for the Iranians, I don't exactly believe, because I can monitor in real time what's going on the ground, that there is any movement towards an end to the fighting. And I think that it is very possible, actually, that Israel can simply just there's another one coming right now. Give it 1 second. Actually, I think what that was the red alert that turning into a drone alert. The point is, Israel can simply thwart this entire process by continuing to indiscriminately bomb in South Lebanon, and then Hezbollah is going to be forced to respond, which then will compel Iran to hold the U.S. accountable for Israel's violations of the ceasefire. And then Israel will say to the U.S. that did you know that they build their own, hold on, slight buffer, we're back. Did you know, 1 second, give it 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds, I'm back. Did you know that Iran has the capacity to make their own centrifuges now? Did you know that Iran has the capacity to enrich uranium without assistance from any other third-party country? All I'm saying is that this has created a ridiculous situation. You just saw all of the alerts come in. Don't tell me there's another one. I don't believe it. Oh, there's another one? What is that alert? I'm a little confused. Why is that alert gone to red? Oh, goodness. Let's just watch the Blood Guardians video. This is for Miss FAFO and also Silent Dogs. This is from 3 days ago, the latest video from the Blood Guardians. Sirens absolutely ring in Shlomi right now and Hanita. There's a Hezbollah retaliatory attack. I don't know what Israel just bombed. I know they were bombing all day in southern Lebanon, but yes, Hezbollah has started to retaliate. I am back. I won't let a little rain and interference stop you from being able to see the end of the video. I'm a tab. Now, that's the latest from the Blood Guardians. They got themselves into a little trouble. They were launching the attacks at Saudi and UAE. It caused a little diplomatic snafu, but then again, Iran also launched attacks at the UAE. Nobody really did anything. So, like I mentioned. Someone asked if I'm doing anything for graduation and Towel birthday. I have been hanging out with Towel Girlfriend. She just makes my heart sing, every day, every moment. The thing that I enjoyed the most, I think, was we've watched some films. We found, I would argue, what is the apex of every Hays Code film that I've seen. I really like His Girl Friday. I like It Happened One Night. I like a lot of Hays Code era stuff. But I, of course, like some stuff after the Hays Code. If you don't know what the Hays Code is, before the Motion Picture Association of America was around, there were individual ratings boards. So you could have a film that was legal to show in, like, Minneapolis, but illegal to show even, like, the next county over, or the next city over, or in the next state, etc., etc. That's where Banned in Boston came from. Oh, God bless you, Miss FAFO. So anyway, the Hays Code was what Hollywood adapted. It was like this voluntary pre-MPAA version of like a censor board. There was a lot of local censorship boards in the United States of America in like the 30s and 40s. And so to get rid of them, oh, God bless you, Dr. Jen Toxic. What does that one say? Does that say flow state? I love it. So there were a lot of God bless you for that one, Dr. Jen Toxic. Thank you for those jewels. I love the flow state emoji. There were a lot of local censorship boards, and what happened was the Hays Code was developed by Hollywood in order to get all of the local censorship boards shut down. It was really kind of like for the same reason we developed time zones. It was so the trains could know like how to go from place to place, basically. It was a similar idea. You couldn't sell movies commercially if you didn't know if they were going to be able to air community to community or screen in the theaters. But anyway, so the Hays Code was developed as like a voluntary censorship board by Hollywood in the 30s and 40s. That was like, but it's a way to refer to an era. Frank Capra was a great director. It's just like a way to refer to the 30s and 40s. But then you come out of the Hays Code era in like 42 to 44, because all the local censorship boards start going away. You have the wartime board, but that's not really relevant. By like 55, the last board in like South Texas, like a very like deeply religious area of the country, is gone. And then it's the MPAA that comes around. Oh, and hold on, buffer. And they do, the MPAA comes around and they do what the ratings today. Now the history of ratings is very complicated. It used to be like X and then M and then PG and G, but then or like it used to be like M and X or whatever, and then parents thought that like M was worse than X or X was worse than M, so they made like X its own category and triple X its own category, and then they created the system today, which is R, PG-13, PG, and G, okay, in the United States. Yeah, lots of peace drone alerts today. Water under the fridge. Absolutely, my dear friend. Make sure we keep a close eye on the Great Lakes. Hello, or it's 561. It's so good to see you. So, I was talking a little bit about, someone asked what I'll be doing for graduation and for Towel birthday. I've been watching litany, well, we've been doing a number of things, but one of my favorite things to do with Towel Girlfriend is watch films from those eras. Now, we, of course, have been screening everything from Barry Lyndon to Casablanca to His Girl Friday, It Happened One Night, but today we watched Double Indemnity, and I must say, if you're ever going to do anything to truly enjoy your birthday, on a rainy day, I don't think I can recommend anything as much as watching the movie Double Indemnity with your partner or otherwise. It's truly a wonderful movie. A lot of people look at Casablanca, rightfully so, as the apex of American cinema. Maybe Citizen Kane. I would argue the Kubrickian canon, 2001, even Paths of Glory from 58, or Full Metal Jacket. Was that him? Full Metal Jacket. Or Eyes Wide Shut, basically anything Kubrick ever made is probably the epitome of American cinema. You could argue that the great work in human history has undergone 3 transliterations. The building of the European cathedrals, like the written word as manifest in the great works of Shakespeare, and then films as made manifest in the works of Stanley Kubrick as its epitome. But I would say, after watching Double Indemnity, just as a cohesive whole, not for its like presentation on the screen, not necessarily for its acting, although it does have Humphrey Bogart, so it's really well acted, not just for the way the plot is presented, but just the overall cinematography is just a 10 out of 10. It's like, it didn't have the tools that Kubrick had available to him at Elstree, and it didn't have the same cultural sort of gravitas as anything in the Kubrickian canon, but as a story, it is just one of the greatest things. If you have never seen Double Indemnity, I highly recommend watching it. I think it's from 48, so a little bit after the Hays Code era, a little bit after Casablanca. You could clearly tell it was heavily inspired by authentic film noir. It basically was the era of film noir, but it has this like, it's almost like... It feels like it was inspired a little bit by like Bugsy Siegel, the story of Bugsy Siegel, but it's also like a very, very good explication of like the American social strata of its time. It's a snapshot of 1948. I think that's when it was. Let me just double check for you. I want to make sure it's not 1940 because those 1944, I thought it was 48. So it came out the same year as Casablanca. Wait a minute. He did Casablanca and this movie in the same year? No, he didn't. That must have been the other film. There's no way that Humphrey Bogart's in Double Indemnity. Yeah, he was in the other one that I was going to watch. Maybe he is in this one, though. No, he's not. This did come out the same year as Casablanca, though. It actually stars... Hold on. Fred McMurray and Barbara Stanwyck. It was a very good movie. I don't know why I thought it had Humphrey Bogart in it. For some reason, I was convinced. Maybe I watched another movie with Humphrey Bogart, and then we switched to that movie. But my point remains the same. It's an excellent movie. So that was your mental decompression break, by the way. I enjoyed giving you that history lesson. I feel bad that I did not know who the main actor in Double Indemnity was. Although, in my defense, I've only seen it for the first time in the past 3 hours. Let me show you more footage from Kiev now that your mental decompression break is over. Thank you to whoever asked me that wonderful question. That's how I like to relax. This is another angle of... Hello. Hello. I have a bit of a storm coming through. Hello. How are you doing? Hello, I'm back. I have a bit of a storm coming through, so my internet's going to go up and down. I have wonderful internet, but the storm blows things around, etc., etc. I'm back, though. It'll never go down for more than a few seconds. Let's take a look at Kiev once again.
Happened and why has it happened? So this is Kiev Sunday morning, and we've had over 47 locations hit like this. This is a shopping center. That's the market with all the fresh food. This has been hit. Why? Because Putin, the Russians have lost over 1 million soldiers that have been killed or seriously...
I'll show you more footage now from Kiev. Give me 1 second. You know, as soon as I started talking, it could be the weather, but as soon as I started talking about what happened in Kiev, I experienced more drops than I've ever experienced before. It's not going to stop me, though. It won't stop me. Mateo. Let's take a look at more footage from Kiev. Oh, goodness. All right, let me put the sound warning. That is very loud. I'm going to start it again, but just be aware this is very loud. Oh, whoa. The intensity of that Russian ballistic missile impact is very overwhelming. Here's a joint statement that was put out by a number of Middle Eastern countries. Oh, why would they delete it? That's a little weird. It was a statement by the foreign ministers of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. It's on their government account. They must have reposted it with something else. The Arab Republic of Egypt, the State of Qatar, the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, the Republic of Turkey, the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, the Republic of Indonesia, the Republic of Djibouti, the Federal Republic of Somalia, the State of Palestine, the Sultanate of Oman, the Republic of Sudan, the Republic of Yemen, the Republic of Lebanon, and the Islamic Republic of Mauritania strongly condemn in the strongest terms the illegal and rejected step represented by the so-called Somaliland region proceeding to open an alleged embassy for it in the occupied city of Jerusalem in flagrant violation of international law and relevant international legitimacy resolutions and in a manner that constitutes a direct assault on the legal and historical status of the occupied city of Jerusalem. Now, yes, indeed, in Lebanon. But I will tell you that this is in response to a part of Africa. It's actually right on the Bab al-Mandab Strait, so it's down here. Okay, it's this area. Now, do you see how the country of Ethiopia is landlocked? You see how the country of Ethiopia doesn't have access to the ocean? That's Ethiopia, okay? And you see how it is like Intriri is up here, and then Djibouti's a very heavily like militarized country. Like Japan, I think, has a base there. Japan doesn't even have overseas bases. It has one in Djibouti. Djibouti has a lot of foreign military bases. This is so-called Somaliland. Do you see Somaliland? Now, here is what's going on. This is Somalia. You see Somalia? Somalia is across from Yemen. Now, as we know about Yemen, that's where the Houthis operate. Now, you see how over here to the north of Oman and south of Iran, south of the Persian Gulf, you know, here we got Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Iraq, the Benay Peninsula, south of Basra. That's a so a Benay Peninsula is a piece of land that's surrounded by two sides by different countries, okay? Then one side by its country that owns the land, and then by another side by water. That's called a Penay Peninsula. I think I might have said Benay. It's actually Penay Peninsula. So anyway, it might be Benay. You should double check. I think it's Penay Peninsula. Might be Benay though. Let me double check that for you. That's actually a very important thing for me to know. Is it Benay Peninsula or Penay Peninsula? It might be a Penay Peninsula. But more buffering issues than I've ever experienced in my life. And it's not even the weather. My internet's fine. Just a lot of drops over and over and over again. The point is, this is the Strait of Hormuz, okay? So this is what Iran has control over right now. Okay, this is the Bab al-Mandab Strait. This is what the Houthis can control and shut down if they want to. They shut it down during the 2023 war, okay? Between Israel and Gaza. Now, and Hamas. This is Ethiopia. Now, Ethiopia is aligned with Israel because, for a number of reasons. One, Ethiopia wants Somaliland to become a breakaway region and become its own country so that Ethiopia can have access to the Gulf of Aden, which is a crucial seaport, in order for it to become like independent through exports. You wouldn't know it, but 80% of the world's GDP is based on traffic on the land or fly them up in a plane. All right. So, speaking of that, let me continue to explain. Ethiopia is supported by Israel and the United States. They want Somaliland to become a protectorate, which is basically a state that answers to another state. Somalia does not like this idea because that's their territory. This area is very crucial for shipping. Why? Because what's at the north of the Red Sea? Something people spent a lot of money on. Yes, the Suez Canal. So if you want to avoid traveling around the south of Africa, which you want to, you don't want to travel the Cape of Good Hope. It's not a good idea for your ship. It takes a long time. It's dangerous. It's inefficient. You want to come through the Suez Canal, or you want to go over here, okay? You want to come out, you want by land, you want your oil to come out of the Persian Gulf, flow through the Strait of Hormuz and out of the Gulf of Oman. Now, here, okay, what you're focusing on in particular is getting a substantial amount of goods and oil and other things through the Suez Canal, down the Red Sea, okay, and then through the Bab al-Mandab Strait, and then through the Gulf of Aden. If you control, that's why Djibouti has so many military bases. If you control Yemen, if you control Eritrea, if you control Djibouti, if you control this piece of land here, you control the Bab al-Mandab Strait. So Israel and America and Ethiopia all have an interest in this region becoming its own independent country called Somaliland. Somalia does not want them to do that. So Somalia is in essence fighting, and they have been. Mogadishu is the capital of Somalia. Somalia and Ethiopia have been fighting a war, and a hot war, frankly. There's been aerial bombardments of Mogadishu, etc., over this. Okay, it's basically territorial expansionism by Ethiopia, but Ethiopia is the client state here, and the actual powers that be are America and Israel and etc. So think about it. Do you really think that the issues that are being raised about what's going on in Minnesota are just about fraud? Of course it's about fraud, but it's also about jizya, okay, Muslim mass migration to specific areas for political purposes, not religious, not cultural, for political purposes. And then it's also about this proxy war. It's not authentically about fraud. It's about the fact that Somalia is an enemy of the United States and Israel right now because the United States and Israel want control over the Bab al-Mandab Strait. They can't get it through Djibouti or Eritrea. Their best option is to get it through Somaliland, which is not even a country. So Somaliland getting an embassy recognized by Israel in Jerusalem, it's a big, big, big issue. So that's what's going on there, and that's why like half the Gulf countries are mad, to put it lightly. Taking you now to the Ukrainian president just 6 hours ago surveying the damage in Kiev.
The museum of Chernobyl was built, by the way, for the it was built just 1 month ago. So they attacked, they saw this museum, they attacked this exactly to the museum. Just crazy assholes. That's thank you.
Oh, he's very mad. He called them crazy. He called them crazy a-holes. That was the Ukrainian president, so I'm not going to censor him. But yes, he called the Russians crazy a-holes. Taking you now to Saudi Arabia, where the Hajj pilgrimage is scheduled to start tomorrow. Saudi Arabia released the following footage through their military of their missile interceptor systems ready to defend the pilgrims during the Hajj. Okay, we don't need that. These are missile defense systems over Saudi Arabia. This is what Saudi has deployed to defend pilgrims in case of attack. All right, now let me take you to, here was the forced displacement order that that Israel ordered. Okay, this was 5 hours ago. This is what kept up the Israel ordered displacement in like 7 towns, in 11 towns in South Lebanon. Started attacking them, and then Hezbollah started firing drones at North Israel. Here's more footage of President Zelensky surveying the damage in Kiev. I have never had this happen before. Like, I stream all the time, especially on this new internet. I've never lost my connection so many times. I'm gonna keep showing this. This is Kiev. I don't know. It's just my gut feeling, but I think there are some people that really don't want you to see that civilian areas in Kiev were destroyed on a level that can only be compared, in some ways, to World War II. Here's more footage from Kiev last night. This is Kiev last night. Okay, that was Kiev last night. And one more. Only after the London Blitz, Silent Dogs. That was Kiev last night. My name is Grant Smith Ellis. It's Tal birthday. God bless all of you. Thank you for being with me on this day. I meant to go 2 hours. I've gone 2.5 hours. You got bonus Tal. You'll get a little bit more. It's 12:42 p.m. Eastern. U.S. peace, kinda, time. It is Sunday, May 24th, 2026. It is Memorial Day weekend, heading into the holiday of Israel. What is going on? Either there's a huge rainstorm, or someone doesn't want me to talk about this. I'm going to go with rainstorm. All right. It's 6:43 p.m. in South Africa, 7:43 p.m. in Tel Aviv, Israel, and 8:13 p.m. in Tehran, Iran. Oh, God bless you, Miss FAFO. Thank you for the party hat. Thank you, Matthew, for the birthday with wishes. God bless you. Thank you for being with me, you all, on this Tal birthday. Now, if you're wondering, am I the only person reporting on this from Ukraine? No. Al Arabia is there as well. Al Arabia. Let's take a look.
هجوم روسي واسع ضرب العاصمة الأوكرانية كييف باستخدام مئات
He's in Kiev.
المسيرات وعشرات الصواريخ. ضرب أكثر من 40 موقعا في المدينة، من بين المواقع هنا في حي لوكيانفكا. هذا المركز التجاري تدمر بالكامل نتيجة الهجوم الروسي. بالإضافة إلى ذلك هناك سوق بجانب هذا المكان أيضا تعرض لأضرار كبيرة جدا. هذا الحي عايش ليلة رعب حقيقية. محطة مترو لوكيانسكا الواقعة بالقرب من هذا المكان مدخلها الرئيسي أيضا تعرض لأضرار واسعة في الوقت الذي كان يحتمي فيه العشرات من المدنيين في هذه المحطة، مخاوف من الاستهداف الروسي في هذا الهجوم. اتهامات أوكرانية للجانب الروسي باستهداف أماكن البنية التحتية والمدنية في هجوم استخدمت فيه أزيد من 600 مسيرة من أنواع مختلفة، بالإضافة إلى 90 صاروخا من طرازات مختلفة أيضا، من بينها صواريخ فرق صوتية، صواريخ باليستية، وكذلك صواريخ مضادة للسفن. ولأول مرة استخدمت القوات الروسية في هذا الهجوم صاروخ أوريشنيك في ضرب منطقة بيلاتسيركف في ضواحي العاصمة الأوكرانية كييف. مواقع عديدة في كييف تعرضت لأضرار وأدت إلى عشرات الإصابات في صفوف المدنيين وعدد من القتلى وفق ما تقول السلطات المحلية، في الوقت الذي يواصل فيه رجال خدمة الطوارئ التعامل مع مخلفات هذا الهجوم الروسي. الهجوم الروسي جاء بعد ساعات من تحذيرات الرئيس الأوكراني فولوديمير زيلينسكي من أن القوات الروسية وفقا لتقارير استخباراتية ومعلومات من شركاء بلاده الغربيين بأن القوات الروسية ستهاجم العاصمة الأوكرانية وبكثافة. وبالتزامن أيضا أصدرت السفارة الأمريكية هنا في كييف بيانا حذرت فيه من هجوم روسي وشيك. حالة من التصعيد.
He's standing in the middle of the city center. He's basically saying it's scenes of destruction. I don't speak Arabic that well, and I didn't translate this one. Yes, Derek, hashtag overtime towel. Let's take a look at more footage released from Hezbollah. This was from Taiba, released this morning, but from May 18th, southern Lebanon. May 19th, correction. Yeah, I'd say it's fair to say that's a bad place to park your communication equipment. So, not to make light of it, but no humans were hurt, by the way, in this video. The only way that sardonic humor can sometimes be a way to process trauma. When humans are hit, I don't like doing it. But in this video, yes, I can say that's a bad place to park your communications equipment, sir. You should move your van from the diving board. Yeah, so that is an example. Hezbollah releases these videos. Israel releases their own videos. We watch both. We're looking at what are they putting in the field? What are they showing? What are they claiming to hit? Where are they claiming to hit it? How are they claiming to hit it? That's not a good place. If your communications equipment can be taken out by a $400 drone and your communications equipment costs a lot of money, asymmetric warfare. Here's just one of the Israeli airstrikes on your screen from South Lebanon. If you're wondering why Hezbollah has been sending drones into the north, this was just one, I repeat, just one of probably 12 in a row Israeli strikes in South Lebanon this morning. Just one. This was one of the bigger ones. I'm going to take you through as many updates as I can. Bailey Love says, is today your birthday, Grant? If so, happy birthday to you. Wishing you all the best. And today and always, Grant. Oh, God bless you, Bailey Love. Thank you so much for the birthday wishes. It is Towel birthday. I share a birthday with Bob Dylan and with our wonderful fellow Towel chat member, Rekka. God bless all of you out there with birthdays today. It is Towel birthday. Hashtag I'm a towel. Let's take a look again with that birthday celebration as a decompression break. Let's take a look now in South Lebanon. This is specifically the Ali Taher mountain range that was struck just 4 hours ago. Thank you, Inliminine. God bless you. Thank you, Bailey Love. God bless you as well. This was South Lebanon just 4 hours ago. Towel Mom Lynn. Hi, Towel Mom Lynn. Oh, God bless you this Sunday. It's so good to see you. You are a Towel Chat Mom Lynn. You're wonderful. Nikki Towel is working on getting to America. We're going to come visit you. Towel Girlfriend is excited. If we can talk more about that with you, you let us know. I know I have your number. I'll give it to Towel Girlfriend. She's a great coordinator. Taking you to Turkey now, where the opposition to President Erdogan was removed from office by the taking you to Turkey now, where the opposition party to either... I'm back. Hello. All right, so taking you to Turkey now, Ankara. Turkey. The country did just recently change its name, so I'm working on my pronunciation. Thank you, Silent Dogs. Turkey. This is Ankara earlier today. Ah, okay. Don't confuse me, Silent Dogs. I won't know how to say it. Just incredible scenes. You're looking at the Turkish police storming the opposition, well, the police in Turkey storming the headquarters of President Erdogan's opposition and removing them from the building. Turkmenistan does still exist. It's a bit of a strange country. I think Turkmenistan is actually ruled by one guy. It has like a lot of Soviet monuments still. I don't know if he's a communist or not. It's a bit of a strange place. It's like one of the only countries in the world that's like itself. It's a very, very unique place. Very Soviet. You're the best, Derek. Yeah, you actually reminded me to get an range extender, so I am very grateful to you. God bless you. A bit of a strange country is an understatement, says water under the fridge. Yeah, we're talking about Turkmenistan, by the way, not Turkey. But this is scenes you don't want to see in any democracy. It's not good. Taking you now to Nabatayth, where there were strikes by Israel in southern Israel, strikes by Israel in southern Lebanon that targeted the Ali al-Taher area. This was the impact damage. Oh my word. Wow. Horrifying scenes. Taking you now to the area Arab Salim in South Lebanon. This was the damage from an Israeli strike this morning. Oh, I hope not, Tiffany Bob. First 48, I did see that. God bless Kyle Busch. He was just in his racing simulator. According to what I saw, the statement from his family. Just horrible news. He was 41 or 42, taken very young. God rest his soul. I don't watch racing a lot, but just to have read that he had gotten sick a few weeks before, but he was in his simulator and he just had a bunch of sort of sudden onset symptoms and died later that day. It's heartbreaking. And it's a reminder of just how precious life is, and even people who are working in professional sports, surrounded by the best medical care in the world, you can be taken in an instant. That was heartbreaking to read about. I had actually retweeted information about it, but it was a little bit buried in the feed. So thank you, First 48, for bringing that up. That was a very sad, tragic story. Taking you to another tragic story now out of the Western Bekaa, which is an area in South Lebanon. Here's another Israeli raid. That was in the Western Bekaa 4 hours ago. Here's further footage of those raids targeting the mountain area outside Nabatayth. Different angle, same videos. Here's the scene from Arab Salim from outside the building in South Lebanon. Hi, Crazy Sammy. God bless you. Just a Kiev apocalyptic scenes, South Lebanon apocalyptic scenes. Here, just to show you the extent of some of the bombing in South Lebanon today, here's one more video. You can see it from miles away. The Chernobyl Museum in I refuse to be deterred. I am a towel. Hello, I'm back. That is the National Chernobyl Museum in Ukraine. I will push through the internet drops. I will show you the devastation that Russia inflicted on civilian areas and museums in Ukraine overnight. Birthday buffer. Hashtag tell birthday buffer. Taking you to more images from right outside the Chernobyl Museum in Kiev. The city of Kiev was not completely destroyed, but using the word leveled is probably appropriate. Overnight. Turkey also put out a statement condemning the terror attack in Pakistan. Here's more footage of the police storming the headquarters of the opposition in Turkey. Not something you ever want to see in a... Here's a report from Courtney Boneo in southern Lebanon just 4 hours ago. One of the best English reporters on the ground in South Lebanon.
I'm reporting to you from the Civil Defense Center in Nabatea, which was hit last night with an Israeli airstrike, as you can see. 12 days ago, the Israeli army targeted paramedics outside of this building as they were attempting to rescue a tuk-tuk driver who had been injured in an Israeli drone strike. The Israeli army systematically targets medical professionals, medical facilities, and ambulances in Lebanon, just like they did in Gaza. These targeted attacks are acts of genocide, and they are paid for with US dollars and supported by the European Union. This was a medical center. It is gone. It is gone.
Courtney Boneo, one of the few English-speaking reporters in southern Lebanon. I showed you the impact from that Russian cluster munition. I showed you the footage of the arrival of the rocket. Let me give you a few more updates. Now I'll show you a few more updates. 1 second. Barak Ravid with Axios, take it for what you will, says the agreement is not expected to be signed between the U.S. and Iran today. Several details still to close. Back and forth over certain parts of the deal. Some words are important to us and some words are important to the Iranians, the official said. The U.S. official said the Iranian system in its current configuration does not move quickly and added it will take a few days, several days, for this to go through all approvals. Quote, our understanding is that Supreme Leader Mohammad Khamenei approved the broad template of the agreement, but whether this will turn into a final agreement is still an open question, the U.S. official says. Here's what Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had to say before I close. You got about 5 more minutes with me. Towel girlfriend's
Conversation
almost home.
about the Memorandum of Understanding to reopen the Straits of Hormuz and the upcoming negotiations toward a final agreement on Iran's nuclear program.
He said I spoke with President Trump about
the Memorandum of Understanding to reopen the Straits of Hormuz and the upcoming negotiations toward a final agreement on Iran's nuclear program. I express my deep appreciation to President Trump for his unwavering commitment to Israel's security, including during Operation Roaring Lion and Epic Fury, when American and Israeli forces fought shoulder to shoulder against the Iranian threat. President Trump and I agreed that any final agreement with Iran must eliminate the nuclear danger. That means dismantling Iran's nuclear enrichment sites and removing its enriched nuclear material from its territory. President Trump also reaffirmed Israel's right to defend itself against threats on every front, including Lebanon. The partnership between us and our two countries has been proven on the battlefield and has never been stronger. My policy, like President Trump's, remains unchanged. Iran will not have nuclear weapons. The Iranians and anyone with any decency should be working to end Israel's nukes.
Yeah, it's hard to listen to Benjamin Netanyahu talk about anyone having nukes without permission when Israel has nukes without permission. Now taking you to more from Courtney Boneo in South Lebanon. This is the main road to Nabatea. Excuse me. It's destroyed. Indeed, God bless you, Michael Brown. Towels are a very handy, useful object throughout the universe. 1 hour ago, Israel raided again a house in Zariah town. That is very true. Silent dogs. Might have been Interpen, but yes. All right, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Grant Smith Ellis. If you enjoyed a full bonus hour of Towel, 3 hours, thank you very much for watching. It is Towel birthday. Thank you all for your super chats, your jewels, your compassion. I didn't do it once today because I was very busy. That was a very intense night of attacks. I pray for all of the people impacted by those bombs. Thank you all for watching the update. I went an hour longer than I intended to, but I'm so grateful to have spent part of my birthday with you. I want to go spend some time with Towel Girlfriend now, if you wouldn't mind. If you want to support these endeavors, if you want to feed Towel, etc., there's ways to do so. I didn't do it all stream. But yes, Triple A Bob just put it into the comments. There's a Cash App, money sign, Grant Smith Ellis. You can scan the little logo on the screen. There's a Venmo at Grant-E1. There's a PayPal, paypal.me/Grant Ellis. God bless each and every one of you. Thank you so much. It means so much to me that I got to spend this day with you. I pray that there will be some kind of peace, no matter what happens, whether it's a peace ceremony, an MOU being signed, some kind of chaos. I'll be with you to take it through. There is a holiday tomorrow in the United States. So if you will pray my indulgence, I'd like to play 2 songs for you on the way out. We'll do our traditional ending, but I think I'd like to add an extra song today. Let's see if I can find a nice song in honor of the country that I love so dearly. So you're going to have to give me a second. I think I want to do... What song do I want to do? It is Sunday, is it not? So I think I know exactly the song that I want to do. You're going to have to give me a second to actually go find the version of it that I like. But I think I know exactly what I want. Oh, thank you, Tizzle. God bless you. Triple A Bob, I'm not sure about that. They might be. I'll have to do some reading. There's a very specific song that I want. Miss Clutch, this is your warning that it's that song. So just a warning for the wonderful Miss Clutch. Beslay's Tarkov was hit by Oreshnik, not Kiev. Yes, Joyce, I did. 100%. Also, Joyce, thank you for the clarification about what got hit by that very concerning cluster munition. I did look at the impact damage and did not differentiate between Oreshnik, which is 50 kilometers away from Kiev, so thank you for that. And then I also reported on the Russian report about the college dormitory that was hit. The Green Beret song, that is a great song, Silent Dogs, but we're going to do this one. The Green Beret song might not actually be in the database, but this one is. So let me see if I can find you a version that I like here. Hold on here. All right, where is it? You're going to have to give me a second. I don't mind taking 1 minute to find this version. There's one version that I really like. Is it this one? I don't want to listen to all 4 minutes. That might not be the version. There's one that's a little shorter. And then we will listen to the national anthem. And I will do Tippecanoe and Tyler too. Alright, so. Oh, that's the one that has the intro. I kind of like that one, but I think I have another one that's a little smaller. A little shorter, I should say. And I really do like doing Tippecanoe. Oh, I found it. Alright, so let me do Tippecanoe and Tyler 2, and then we'll do our song. So if you've never been with us before, I like to do the presidents in order at the end of stream. Test my mental acuity. So, of course, you got President Washington, then you got President Adams, then President Jefferson, then President Madison, then President Monroe, then President Adams Jr., then President Jackson, then President Van Buren. Skip 9, 10, 11, 12. 13 is President Fillmore, then Tippecanoe and Tyler 2. So you've got Polk, Taylor, Pierce, Buchanan, Lincoln, Johnson, Grant, Rutherford B. Hayes, Chester A. Garfield. No, Chester A. Arthur, then Garfield, Cleveland, Harrison, Cleveland, McKinley, Teddy Roosevelt, William Howard Taft, Woodrow Wilson, Harding, Coolidge, Hoover, FDR, Truman, Eisenhower, Kennedy, Johnson, Nixon, Ford, Carter, Reagan, Bush 1, Clinton, Bush 2, Obama, Trump, Biden, Trump. God bless you. Hi, pick a handle. God bless you. May 25th is National Towel Day tomorrow. Apparently, I'm down with it. Thank you, In Limonene. Pick a handle. Tiffany Bob, first 48. Two Bear, so good to see you. Joyce, Tripoli Bob, Water Under the Fridge, my dear friend. Now you get 2 outro songs, okay? And then I will close for the day with our normal close, and then I'll go hang out with Towel Girlfriend. Hi, Towel Girlfriend. You're wonderful. Thank you, Pick a Handle. You're wonderful. Amazing Grace, ladies and gentlemen. What a wonderful song, ladies and gentlemen. God bless you, Water Under the Fridge. Thank you for so much for your support of Towel Channel and for being such a wonderful human. Thank you to all of you, wherever you may be in the world today. As I get ready to go spend some time with Towel Girlfriend, I will say this to you. If you benefited from this stream, if you learned something today, if you found camaraderie here, if you enjoyed your time, you may consider, ladies and gentlemen, that this is a public information service. I try to educate, inform, and entertain you. 20% entertainment as a trauma buffer, 40% information, 40% education, designed to engender cogent public discourse and ward off the usurpation of our representative forms of government worldwide. If you really truly benefited from that today, do consider a donation to our veterans or our service members or their families. There should not be one veteran in the United States of America that is homeless against their will. If there is, we have failed as a society. Do consider a donation over this Memorial Day weekend to our service members or those homeless veterans or our veterans or any cause that helps those wonderful humans who put their lives on the line for us. The least we can do is try to give back to them. Yes, I truly believe that a single homeless veteran against their will, not saying they can't live in the forest with their survival skills if they want to, but homeless against their will means that we have failed as a country. Now, because I'm reminded of this by my next line. This is Pete Bunnytail. His friend Francine sent an email this morning. He wants to say hi to her. He wants to say, God bless you, Francine. He adores her. He's the channel mascot. His name's Pete Bunnytail. So, in any event, you may also consider a donation to animal shelters run by our veterans or service members. Great way to help our furry friends. Great way to help our service members or veterans. You may also consider a donation to animal shelters in general. It's a great way to help our furry friends. If you're in the UK, please consider a donation to the Big Issue. It's a great way to help the population who are homeless in the UK. They can't yell on the street corners anymore, although they can still sell the Big Issue. Great cause. It doesn't have to be a donation, though. It can be something as simple as smiling at someone on the street, reaching out to a friend or family member you haven't heard from in a while, or yes, even giving away 200 tomato plants like Francis Futrell did one time and having them designated honorary towels in the outro forevermore. Hi, 20th Century Foxy. It's so good to see you. God bless you, my friend. Yes, in that way, may we pray the current realpolitik, there that word is again, continues to change from one centered on preserving, expanding, and demonstrating our power to instead one centered on preserving, expanding, and demonstrating our capacity to engage in small acts of service and kindness rooted in unconditional love. Therein allowing us to live up to our Tau Eudaimonia or Summum Bonum, our greatest good in the ancient Greek or Latin respectively, and in turn bringing about a new digital epoch defined by Aquarius the water bearer standing tall and carrying a Pete Bunny towel. I believe it's possible because of you all, and Miss FAFO says, I agree, God bless our service members, veterans, fallen heroes, and let's never forget our missing in action and prisoners of war. Absolutely, Miss FAFO, God bless you. This, in a very apropos manner, thus concludes your Sunday broadcast day on Towel News. My name is Grant Smith Ellis. You will get one more song that will play as the stream closes. God bless you, Tiffany Bob, and Silent Dogs and Water Under the Fridge, and In Limonene, and Michael Brown, my dear friend, and Pick a Handle, and every single one of you who is here with us today. Thank you very much for being with me. Thank you for welcoming me into your home. Hello, Emily C., Fake Lally Siggy. God bless you. Thank you for the wonderful birthday wishes. Joyce, it was so good to see you, and Two Bear, and Triple Bob, and Chinatown CJ. Oh, you all are so wonderful. Thank you so much for joining today. There's so many of you in the chat. Derek, it was so good to see you. You all are wonderful. I appreciate you. G Reaper, my dear friend, and Orr, and Bailey Love, and Jeremy Briggs. Oh, I'm so glad I got to see you all today. You're all so wonderful. Mr. FAFO, God bless you, my dear friend. Standing Stones, Water Under the Fridge. Oh, Rekka as well. Happy birthday, my friend. We share a birthday. I'm so glad I got to see you. Did you know I take a screenshot of all the chats that I really like? You all have a special place in my heart. I'm so glad we got to spend this day together. Hello, oh, C and Avery, God bless you, and AI, you as well, my friend. God bless you. Ladies and gentlemen, as I go off to spend some time with Towel Girlfriend, this thus concludes your broadcast day on Towel News. It's 1:15 p.m. Eastern here from the Towel Desk in Boston. It's Sunday, May 24th, 2026. It's 7:15 p.m. in South Africa, 8:15 p.m. in Tel Aviv, Israel, 8:16 p.m. now, and 8:46 p.m. in Tehran, Iran. Praying for peace, wishing you all well. God bless. May God protect all of us, and may God continue to bless you all. Thank you very much for welcoming me into your home. My name is Grant Smith Ellis, and with this final outro song, your broadcast day on Towel News, youtube.com/@GrantSmithEllis, thus concludes. Oh, God bless you, Mishigama. I'm so glad we got to spend time together. Mishigama said, hanging out with you on your birthday is the greatest mental decompression break. Thank you, Grant. Have a great day. You all have a wonderful day as well. So with this song, The Star-Spangled Banner, the U.S. National Anthem, your broadcast day on Towel News thus concludes.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streamed.
Good night, world. God bless. Be well. My name is Grant Smith Ellis. Fade to staff.